What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Great Lakes Outdoors podcast. We are sitting here with a guest that we'll get into, but Alyx, the old co-host. Alyx, what's going on, man?
Oh, nothing. We just had a pretty good 4th of July yesterday with our friend group, and
it was a long day.
Yeah, man, it was a long day. No sun, but we still made the best of it.
I got fried.
Yeah.
I got burnt bad.
I was sore when I got home. I don't know. I think maybe just from standing that whole time, walking in the water, but I felt like I just did a full body workout.
I know today's your old lady's birthday, so I don't know what you guys had going on after we left, but I'll leave it up to...
Let your nation run wild.
Yeah, I'm just saying. But today we got a special guest that we kind of just started talking recently, not too long ago, and I've personally, and I know Alyx has been too, super excited to get to know you, which, I mean, it's been, 2 hours already with you, but Brian Ellithorpe.
Yep.
How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. I didn't know too much about you, to be honest with you.
Try and keep it that way.
Which is good, because Alyx is the same way that you are, because Alyx is like, I'm going to try to stay low-key as possible and do my thing, and whoever finds out, that's it. Who cares? Good. And that's the right way to do it, don't get me wrong. But videographer, travel all over for some big name people that we'll get into, because it's still like bizarre to me, honestly. But for the people that don't know you, do you want to kind of just tell everybody who you are and what you do without getting into crazy details just yet?
Yeah, high level.
Yeah.
So I'm Brian Ellithorpe from Oregon, Ohio. I think like 6 years ago, started doing diver videos on YouTube. Bought a camera 7 years ago, started messing around with it. Started doing like waterfowl photography, a little bit of videography for old companies. I guess we can get into that at some point, but just some of social media stuff. Then kind of really dove into it 3 years ago, really got into photography, really kind of started taking the YouTube channel a little more serious, focusing on Lake Erie, mostly divers, and now I do some traveling with Shawn Stahl for RNT, for their RNT TV show, and then I'm a photographer for Tangle Free. So
getting into what made you want to start like shooting pictures and video, and like what, because there's always flip that switches for everybody, it seems like,
For me, so like I bought a house when I graduated college, and it butted up to the Cedar Point Wildlife Refuge on the shore of Lake Erie. And I get all these birds in my backyard, like in the pond. And I'm like, man, I really just want to take pictures of these things. So I found a cheap camera on Facebook Marketplace, bought it, kind of figured out how to use it. It came with like a cheap telephoto lens, so I could like kind of see like what I was taking pictures of. But I was like, man, like I see all these pictures in, DU Magazine, Delta Waterfowl, like all these different like big name photographers, and I'm like, it can't be that hard. Right. It is.
Oh yeah.
And it's way more expensive than anybody would ever imagine.
Right.
So I started going on YouTube, and I was like, because I was already posting some, like in high school I posted videos. I used to do car audio. I used to compete in car audio competitions. Oh. And so, like, the thing was, like, you take video of, like, your car and you put it on YouTube.
The windows shaking and...
and it's all warped and stuff. And so I was like, oh, I know I can find some stuff on YouTube. So, like, I go on there and I find all these, like, big-time photographers. And they do all these how-to videos of, like, how to set up your camera. Like, I specifically found one for my camera, and it's like, this is how you do it. This is how you shoot manual. I'm like, what is manual? So then you go down a rabbit hole with that. You start learning like the exposure triangle, and like you're like, okay, well I can start taking some better pictures. And I'm browsing Facebook Marketplace. Like I was base salary engineer, like wasn't making a ton of money. But what I did was like hunting, putting stuff into my boat. I was fishing, and I also was buying camera gear. Mm-hmm. So it was like I got so obsessed with every time I'd like tweak a picture, and I'm like, oh, now I know how to edit. Now I know how to take pictures. I can like freeze frame these ducks now. I can shoot a higher shutter speed. And dude, it just like grew. It was just an obsession. And I'm like, and then like I kind of stumbled onto like the video side on YouTube. And it was like, well, the exposure stuff for taking pictures is the exact same as video. It's just setting up like your shutter speed for different frame rates that you're filming and all this other stuff. The editing's way different, but it was like a whole nother realm. Like I get into way too much stuff, which is why I came up with the YouTube name Too Many Hobbies, because it's like weightlifting, fishing, hunting, photography, videography, like
never
all this.
ends.
Yeah, it's just like I always find new stuff that I like, and I'm like, oh, I'll try it. I'm like, I played golf in high school, and like, so I just played paintball growing up, like from the time I was 8 until.
It's like, what else can I throw money at?
Right.
Yeah, it's like
That's how I am too.
I'm not spending enough money now.
Yeah.
I gotta find something else. Like
Right.
I can't take it with me.
But
I also
Yeah.
like I'm like riding a fine line of what I need to survive for the next like 40 years.
I was just
Yeah,
saying,
oh, yeah.
at the end of
Oh,
the day,
yeah.
you're like, I got no money. I wonder why. Like,
Yeah.
What the heck's what am I spending so much money on?
Go look-
Yeah, and then I go up in my office
Yeah,
and
you
there's
go to your garage.
$40,000 worth of camera gear and
Yeah.
computers and shit, and
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that's it right there.
Right.
But so I kind of got into, I started to figure out the photography thing, and still wasn't very good, and I still don't think I'm anything special, but it just like, it kind of grew. And then there's like, there's smaller companies that'll be like, hey, do you want a pro staff? And it's like, I knew as a photographer what pro staffing was.
Right.
You're a promotional guy. I'm not a professional anything. I'm a promotional guy. And so like that kind of built up into like me getting better at taking pictures, because now I had like a reason to do it.
Right.
If somebody sent me something, it was like, oh, I can take product photos of this in the field or whatever. And like, I'm not using my camera on my phone. I'm using like a real camera.
Right.
So that just kind of, elevated. And then I got in touch with this guy. His name's Travis Malin of Deeks Waterfowl.
Sounds really familiar.
He takes fantastic photos. So he does photos for like Alpha Dog, Team
Okay.
Dog, Recoil. He did some stuff for Migra, which I can kind of get into. Gator Waders, Tangle Free. Like his pro staff for Deeks Waterfowl was more geared towards photographers. So like I kind of fell into that, and like I'd ask him a ton of questions because he was shooting the same brand camera that I was. His was way better, but he just had this eye, and I'm like, dude, that's the kind of stuff that I want to be shooting.
Right.
So I'm like, and he's helping me, for years, and like we're still good buddies. Like he's been on my podcast, like we talk all the time. He's like, but that's where it started. Like
Right.
it really started there of like, well, there's a way that I can start working for these companies, or like I can start working with companies. And what's cool about working with him was that he shared, like if he worked for a company, Deeks worked for the company. So like we all got the same discount codes. We got all the same stuff that he was doing. Like it was really helpful, because then you're kind of like this media group. Like
Right.
you're not you're not a pro staff.
Just not you. It's like it's a whole group. Kind of like for
Yeah.
us, like a Great Lakes Outdoors group. Like it's our hunting
Right.
group wise, where
yeah.
if I'm getting a slice of the pie, I'm gonna slice everybody a piece of the pie. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah, and like he was very good at like, hey, we are going to work with this company. So
Right.
like when Migra first came out, they reached out to him.
Oh, really?
We all had discount codes from Migra. Like we could buy stuff, like send pictures to him and whatever. And it was just like that kind of opportunity, and it just kind of grew from there. And I'm getting advice from him of like, hey, if I want to start, like I had this company reach out to me, like what do I do? And like how he kind of handles like his stuff. He does more contract stuff. I kind of just do like
Friends, buddies, just getting out there.
well, just an email of like, yeah, that sounds great. Like send me whatever.
Yeah.
Well, it's nothing like super official.
Right.
But I also like at that time, like I wasn't like super involved with like how all the other photographers and videographers in the waterfowl world like actually work. You know what I mean? Like you kind of are naive to the fact of like there's people that are making a living off of this, and you don't want to undercut anybody, and it kind of gets into like a political thing if you care about other people.
Especially in the YouTube game. I mean, it seems like everybody in the YouTube.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many people there nowadays, and I will say too, even like the photographer side of everything, it's a hunt within a hunt, because you're hunting for that one picture
Oh yeah.
during the hunt. So like to be able to separate yourself and say like, Man, that is a awesome picture right there. Like
Right.
the patience that you have to have.
Well, you
that
have to get it
picture.
right. You have a split second with a bird that's flying at 50 miles an hour. It's like you have to get that in focus immediately, have the right settings, or you just blew that picture.
Right.
So that's another thing I want to ask you is like, so do you think like with being a hunter yourself and hunting prior that it helps you and gives you that much of an advantage getting into the picture and video being a hunter? It's got to be because you're lining those moments up.
What I've always been told,
you're focusing on the certain birds you need to focus on.
Right.
You can't be a outdoor or a wildlife videographer or photographer if you don't hunt, because especially like the bird hunting aspect of it all, like the hide is one thing. And, and to be able to,
you have to understand how that camera is going to affect what you're doing, because like I have spots that like I take pictures of in the late season that I know it doesn't really matter. Yeah. Like I know there's going to be birds there, like a hot pond or whatever. And it's like, that makes it easy. But like if I just go into the marsh, like I'll take a layout blind, I'll sit on a dike wall, or I'll take like my kayak blind and I'll sit in the water. And like, you have to think like you're hunting. Like if you can take, like I've shot them over decoys, and like you have to think like you're still hunting.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You're hunting.
If you want that right picture, you have to act like you're hunting.
Yeah.
And then like while you're hunting, that's where it gets so tough for me, and why I like, and we can get into that, but why I like hunting with Shawn, because I don't have to worry about hunting. I just have to worry about being behind a camera. Right. But like, if I'm delivering photos for a company and they're like, hey, we need this, this, and this in the field, then I have to be in the field, but I'm hunting.
Right.
Like there's the guys that I hunt with, I only hunt regularly with 2 guys, and then like I'll mix in other people, but like I feel weird if I'm not hunting and I'm there, because I'm usually setting up everything or coordinating everything too. So it's like if I show up and I'm like, well, you guys can hunt, I'm just gonna take pictures. Like I usually have my dog there, and I need to get certain pictures with my dog
situated. Yeah.
So it's like I have to, it gets pretty hectic if we're shore hunting and I have a dog and I'm filming like a YouTube video. I've got a camera on my head. I've got cameras other places. I got a camera on my gun. And then I usually keep a waterproof box with my big cameras in it. And then like I have to think, like as soon as we shoot a bird, I'd send my dog, grab the camera, and then I'm starting like setting up shots. Yeah. And it gets pretty hectic. So it's like,
that's a lot of work, man. That's like doing two, 3 jobs in one.
And that's the thing, is like it's like organized chaos when I go out.
Yeah.
And my buddies will be with me, and they're just like, and I'll show them pictures of like, I'll take pictures of their dogs. I'll take pictures of them in the blind, or like cool stuff. Then I'll send it to them. They're like, dude, I had no idea you were even doing this. Especially with like the YouTube stuff, because I have a GoPro. It'll be a DJI Osmo 4 Action this year, but I have a camera on my head, another camera somewhere else, and like I'm not shoving a camera in somebody's face. Right. It's not like a
documentary kind of.
Well, it's just not like a normal like YouTuber,
right,
like shoving a camera in somebody's face. It's just like I film stuff, and like I generally, like if my dog's retrieving a bird and I'm just filming stuff for YouTube, I just use my phone. I just keep it in my pocket, and then I don't have this then I can leave like a big lens on one of my cameras for like taking pictures. Or like if I want a really tight shot of like them bringing a bird back, then I'll film it and then I'll just add it in. For the most part, I just use my phone because it's easy. Like I can just like, as the dog's coming back, I'm just taking a video. I can have him heel, give me the bird, and it's just like I'm not messing with a super expensive camera, but it's just like it's a give and take. Like if I really want to make a good YouTube video, then I have to think more in that headspace. And if I'm really there to like get pictures for Tangle Free or like Tide Wee or somebody, then like I have to think in that mindset more.
Right.
You know,
how like when you started off videoing, like it's not like you just jumped into these big companies, right? Like I'm sure there's a lot of like people like our group, for example, like what we're lacking a lot of is videoing. And I think me and you talked about that a little bit, where like that's where Paul's going to be helping. We need it, man. I'm telling you. And you know, there's got to be a lot of smaller groups that want all these videos and cool shots and stuff like that, but they're like, oh, we'll just give you a hunt for it, or like we're not going to pay you for it. And it's like, I don't think people realize how much time goes behind that and the money in the cameras. I mean, you probably had to deal with a lot of that kind of stuff, no?
I get a lot of emails in that sense where it'll be like, hey, I ran across you on YouTube or whatever, and we want this, this, and this. And it's like, I'll use Tide Wee because I've been working with them pretty close, but like they've been really good about it. Where like they'll send me a couple pairs of waders.
Oh, really?
And I'm like, okay, well, I can give you this, this, and this.
Right.
And it's like, I'm going to buy the waders anyway. So if you're going to send me nice waders, then there's an exchange there.
Right.
That I'm comfortable with. But there'll be other companies that'll be like, well, we'll send you like whatever.
There's a couple decals and a hat.
Yeah, it'll be like, hey, we'll send you a couple T-shirts, and it's like, it's not really gonna fly. It's like, I know what my time's worth, and if what you're giving me is something that I can use or something that I'm gonna like, I will have to buy. Which waders at this point are pretty much like disposable. So it's come and gone. Like I've done stuff with quite a few companies, and I feel like I've been the ones that I've done stuff with, I feel like I've been fairly compensated, whether it was money or gear. Stuff that I was going to buy anyway. Like I worked with Real Geese, and like they gave me a ton of silhouettes.
But like, and you look at it from a sales point though too, like you're selling what you do.
Right.
And in return, you want what you think your work is worth.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
that's business. That's just pure business, in my opinion.
But I also have to look at it from a time standpoint too, because like I really like doing the YouTube videos, and it's more like when I first started doing it, it was more so that I could like have a video log of my hunts. Like I just had one GoPro, and I would go out and like I might film some stuff on my phone. I piecemeal these videos together on my phone, and like then they like kind of got some traction. So I was like, well, I guess I can start doing more of them. And as I was doing them, I'm like, man, even in the off season, I'm watching these things all the time. Because I'm thinking about a hunt, and I'm like, that's pretty cool. I'm like, I'll just go watch it.
Right.
So it's like that was fun. And then it's like you have this very niche thing, Lake Erie diver duck hunting.
Oh, yeah. Very niche.
And it's like, it's not super sexy. It's not mallards in a cornfield. It's not geese over big water. It's like, I still do that stuff. Like I mix that stuff in. Like we do puddle ducks and geese and all that stuff. But like I like diver hunting. It's just a different challenge anyway.
I wanted to ask you about this. Out of a lot of the hunts, like, because I want to talk to you about silhouettes. Yeah. Because I can't stand the motherfuckers. I want to talk about divers.
Yeah.
Diver hunting. Why do you pick divers over mallards? Is it because of well, I'll just let you answer that.
I guess it's not so much that I pick it over them.
It's just what's in front of you.
It's just like, so for me with puddle ducks, I still love hunting puddle ducks. Like it's not, if there's puddle ducks and I know there's an area for it, I'll go do it. The problem has come is that like over the years, all the spots that I puddle duck hunt are so pressured. So if I can go out on the lake in a layout boat we won't even get to the boat ramp until like a half hour before shooting time. So I don't have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I can drag a layout boat out there, and I'm out in the middle of the lake where I can't even see anybody.
Besides one guy.
Zach, I seen you out there. I know you seen me out there too. No, so it's like, you go out there and it's just like, it's just a different experience. Like I think that the puddle ducks in my area, like when they're in thick, you can go to spots where you can get away from people, but otherwise it just annoys me. Like I'll go somewhere and I'm like, man, I could be out on the lake and away from all this pressure, And
yeah.
So, but then also it's just like diver ducks are tough.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
the
you're
hardy
talking
ducks.
Well, they're fast.
Yeah.
Oh,
but when they commit so hard.
Oh yeah.
Bluebills coming in just backpedaling and so, like feet down, sliding in. You're like, oh, that's so sexy. And then your dog goes out and brings it back, and you're like, that was sick. But it's like, at this point, I've invested so much money into it that like I really don't want to stop.
Yeah.
But it also like with Tangle Free, like they like my diver stuff because they sell a lot of diver decoys, a lot of gear.
Yeah.
But nobody on the in the photographer job besides me really hunts them specifically. So like they ask me for certain photos, and it's like that's a good way for me to like stand out, I guess, in that aspect. But also I don't know. We just have we've become so accustomed to just like targeting divers.
And that's one thing for me personally around here. We started off that way. You know, if we could target mallards out in the marsh, like that's where we're going to go to go after the mallards. But you said it's so pressured where you're going to have to go out in the lake, which I'm only hunting like edges of islands where like they're passing through or dike wall, you know, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like maybe flip the switch on why we only go after fields now.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to deal with all the BS out there.
Right.
I want to know when I get there in the morning, I don't got to worry about another person being out there.
Right.
I can see this one field and I'm good. I don't got to worry about nobody. I don't got to worry about like anybody backdooring me. If somebody does, I kick them right off. Like, you know, it's just, I don't know. And maybe that's like the mallard obsession that I have, because calling to a mallard and making them just do that tight turn and coming right back at you. To me, you can't beat it. And there's going to be no diver that is going to be able to top that for me.
Right.
Personally for me, because you can't call to the divers like you can to the mallards. And I think that's like the connection that I have towards that.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean?
And I think that mine is the geese.
Geese the same way.
Because, and like, I think the biggest thing is I'm just not picky. Like, I just don't care. If somebody's like, hey, I got birds, I got geese in a field. Okay, I'm in.
Right.
I got geese on a pond. I'm in.
Yeah.
There's divers on the lake. I'm in. If there's, you know, mallards and gadwall in the marsh, I'm in. Like, I just don't care. Like, people get like really obsessed with like the whole stigma behind like if it's not a Drake greenhead, then it's not worth chasing. Right. And I just never fell into that. I just really don't care. Like when I first started diver duck hunting, it was with a couple buddies in Oregon, and they kind of got me into like the diver, and they're like, dude, like, isn't this great? There's nobody here. And like, dude, the first time we went out, we shot like 14 ruddies, and I was like, this is sick.
Right,
like, cause they just finished like in your face. Yeah. And it's the I think I really like the skill set that you need to be able to like when you watch somebody that's like, all I do is puddle duck hunt.
Right.
And I go sit in that layout boat.
And let's see what you do.
Yeah, like it's just more of like it's a statement.
Yeah.
Like it really
100%.
is. Like if you get in a layout boat and like the first birds that come in, you drop them, it's like, okay, this guy's been here before.
Oh yeah.
But then I can also go in the like I feel as though I'm a very good shot because I just feel like if the bird comes in, I generally hit it.
Yeah.
Like, not to be cocky, but I've put a lot of time into shooting and like really getting accustomed to my gun. And I can shoot out of a kayak. I can shoot out of a layout boat. I can shoot in a marsh. I can shoot geese. Like I'm comfortable with it.
Right.
So if I go in and like, I can go in a layout boat and not feel like I'm wasting my time.
Yeah, 100%.
So
I understand that for sure, because I mean, in my opinion, it is two completely different worlds from the lake to
totally
private property mallard hunt. Because
you're rocking back and forth in the water. You know, it's like
I will say though, just because we throw the spinners out in the fields doesn't mean that we're finishing every single mallard group right in our face.
Oh,
and
yeah.
We're just busting. And there's some work that goes into it, because I think that's a lot of people, and social media now I think is a really big factor of this. People just think you just throw a spinner out in the field and the ducks just magically come and they finish right in your face.
Oh, yeah.
There's some work that needs to be done behind it.
You got to make sure that they're there.
Yeah, that's the biggest
that's number one.
Yeah.
But, you know, both sides get so much slack on it all. And it's like, listen, man, like, both sides get different amount of work, like, that needs to be done before the hunt.
Right.
And during the hunt, to where nothing's guaranteed. I don't care if there's 300-400 mallards in this field or not, and we're the only ones that can hunt it.
Right.
Doesn't mean we're going to kill one of them.
Yeah.
Like we had this past year, we had probably, I don't know, close to 1,000 mallards hitting this field. A solid white one we had picked out. I've been watching it for a week, been solid. all them birds laying out in the middle of the field and don't want nothing to do with us. We had like 4 or 5 spinners out there, and they still didn't want nothing to do with us.
It's crazy.
It's just
crazy.
It's hunting, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like, you're never gonna get away from, like, it's the pond that I hunt. That I've made a lot of videos out there, and it's like it's never a guarantee. But we're kind of the only. There might be another group that hunts out in that area. There's thousands of geese. Like, they're there, but it's like you're fighting them the same way as like if you're fighting like a raft of divers.
Yeah.
When they get up out of these hot ponds, it's like they know where they're going, and like when you start to turn them, it's like, okay, that feels pretty good, you know. And it's just a different feeling, I think. Like when you're hunting public, and like I know that like the Dr. Duck guys have kind of taken that on as like their identity. But there is something to be said about it too. Like if you're successful on public land, like it feels good.
100%.
Because there's so much pressure, and like I think we were talking about it before, but this area, it's
tough.
Well, and it's like if you talk to somebody from Minnesota or North Dakota or Arkansas or Washington, and they're like, how's hunting in Ohio? And you're like, it's pretty damn good. Yeah. There's a lot of birds here. They have to come through here.
Right.
You know, we're not in a major flyway, but like a lot of waterfowl history is here, and for a reason. We're on the biggest lakes in the world.
Yeah.
The biggest freshwater lakes in the world. And I think like I try not to lose sight of that.
And that's what's tough too, because I never even really like thought of it that way. Because if you talk to somebody and they're like, "Oh, I'm hunting Kansas or like North Dakota or South Dakota, like anywhere like where it's a huge flyway," and they're like, "Oh yeah, we kill like over 1,000 birds a year, or whatever."
Yeah.
Everybody looks down on that just because of the state that you're hunting in.
That's what I mean. Yeah,
like
it's a purist thing
how...
with states, and it's a purist thing with birds, and it's like that's why I try not to like get too caught up in it, because I really don't care. But at the same time, like I live where I live, and I can't change. I mean, I can change that, but I'm not going to. Right. So it's like, but I also just really try not to lose sight of like how many people come here specifically to open water layout hunt divers, or like to hunt divers in general.
I think a lot of people forget that.
It's crazy.
But going back to what you said, I like your whole approach of no, I do. I like no matter what it is, I'm down for it. It just shows how much you love it and how passionate you are about it, because I'm kind of the same way in that where it's like if you ask me to come layout hunt, I'm there. I mean, if I got the time and I'm off, whatever, I'm off, I'm there.
Yeah.
I just love and it makes you so much more versatile as a hunter, I think.
That's kind of what I was trying to allude to with the shooting thing is like, I feel like I'm versatile enough that I'm comfortable in changing up my plan if I need to. Like if somebody's a diehard field hunter and you tell them like, oh, I want to go shoot puddle ducks on the lake, and they're like, well, I don't have the stuff for that. I don't know anything about it. Like, how deep is it there? Do I have the right rigging? Like, I have everything for every situation.
That's how I try to be too.
If there's ice, if there's water, if it's a field, I have everything for it.
Oh, yeah.
And like I said before, I'm just skating by until I retire.
Yeah.
I might not have enough money for it.
Right.
Keep buying camera stuff and you won't, I promise you.
Well, shout out to Tangle Freak. You guys are keeping me afloat. Jesus.
No, it's just gotta be it's crazy the opportunities that people are given within the hunting community though. Because like, you know, we get into like hunting wise while we're younger, and we're like, oh man, you just gotta be like shooting all these giant deer or shooting a lot of birds, and they don't really see like the bigger picture behind it all.
Yeah.
Like for example, like we're doing this. I never thought I'd be talking to people like you or other people that we've got to meet through this like, journey that we were on.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know, it's crazy. Like nobody really thinks about the videographers, the photographers that are like doing this kind of thing. It's just, I don't know.
Well, I think that TikTok and Instagram has helped that, because like if you go on now, like the biggest reels, the most viewed reels are people that are like
for sure
promoting their own stuff.
Yeah.
Like if you go on Instagram and if you just type in like waterfowl videography or waterfowl reels, like you'll start seeing some people and you're like, holy crap. Like I didn't, and there's kind of like two lanes to the waterfowl video side. There's people who are good at like filming like a story, I guess like a long form content, landscape, and then there's people that are very good at making reels. Right. And like it's there probably is a lot of crossover there, but there's some people that just can't make the crossover.
What like if you're looking at a video, what makes a video good in your opinion?
Quality. I mean, like if you take a video on your phone, super compressed, there's not a lot of dynamic range, so it's not like singling out the subject, there's not like blurring in the foreground and background. For me, it's like I can tell a video that's filmed with a phone, I can tell a video that's filmed with a very nice camera. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate like the quality that goes into a reel or a video that's filmed with a very high-end camera, that somebody knows what they're doing and they can set that like that dynamic range, change their f-stop to make sure that like that plane of that subject stays in focus and then like keeps everything out of focus. I like that kind of stuff. Like there's people that'll be like, well, I like more cinematic stuff. I like slowed down, like quality stuff. But I mean, but everybody's different. Like there's been times that like most of my video work is weddings. So like that's where most of my like the business side is, that income is all mostly weddings. And it's crazy, like how many times you'll see somebody, like I'll deliver a photo or I'll deliver a video or a clip or something, and I'm like, man, I really didn't like that photo, and they'll be like, that's the only, like, I love that photo.
Yeah,
you know, it's like people's brains are wired differently, so like I have to be conscious of like if I have a customer, I pretty much like if I'm doing product photos, if I'm doing weddings, if I'm doing whatever commercial work, if anything is in focus and good, I just deliver everything, because I don't know what that, you know, like for the most part I know what people want, but like I don't know what photo is gonna like be, it's gonna tickle their brain.
Right. My biggest thing for videos is just like the realism of it.
Yeah,
Which the clarity of it all is one thing that's huge, but me and Alex have been talking about it a lot too, where like I don't care if we got to make some corny like getting out of the truck or getting in the truck while we're scouting or whatever it may be, but I want to see like the storyline behind it all. And if you get a goose or a turkey with like rigor mortis that is all like stiffened up and stuff, that people are trying to make something work with it, it's like, listen, man, that ain't it.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, like, yeah, I guess if somebody had like, if there's a video of like I guess what tickles my brain is birds committing into the spread.
Yeah, for sure.
And I like to see it like slow-mo, like it's just backpedaling in.
Especially puddlers and geese, not divers, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Nobody likes divers. Yeah. But it's that kind of stuff tickles my brain, but I'm not huge on reels. Like,
it's tough because that's like
that's a way of the
I know, and that's why I make some and I make them, but like I like long form stuff. That's why I like making full length YouTube videos, and I post shorts because I'll cross post them from TikTok, and like any reels that I make of like if I make a reel from a YouTube video, or like I've been making them from RNT footage from last year for this week because they were premiering the show, the season premiere. And I was making reels. I'm like, yeah, this is fun. But I like telling a story. And I think that's why I like when I'm on the road with Shawn is like the times that we've been filming stuff, it makes my brain work in a different sense, where like if somebody was going there just to shoot reels, like they're not filming like the scouting, and they're not filming the setting the spread, dropping the doors on the trailer, and like the down and dirty stuff.
Be able to film all that in a short.
Yeah, and I mean like there's other, so like I enjoy the RNT episodes because it tells a much broader story than like some of the other TV shows where it's like, hey, we're so-and-so outfitters, and like they're not really doing anything. Like, they may show like some product stuff because it's generally like a company that has products, but like with Shawn, like when I first got there, it was like, hey, so this is the stuff that we want to film because we're telling this story. And so that I appreciate that aspect of it.
That's what we had. Shameless plug here, like different breed. They're from Pennsylvania. Okay. They filmed for Dr. Duck a little bit, and they film. They got a hold of me one year, and I'm like, man, I don't know who these guys are. Why are they getting a hold of me? Like, come film us in Michigan. Like, who are we? You know. So they came over here, and that's one thing. Like you said, like they really focused in on like taking the 4-wheeler out of the trailer, or like they got some views from like us taking the decoys out of the trailer from like the different door or whatever it may have been, or us driving in the field, that kind of stuff. I mean, it really stuck with me on that. And I don't know, it separates a lot of stuff for me personally.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot more work. Like when
it is,
because there's people that I see and I'm like, man, they're just busting out like reels and posting them every day. I can my bandwidth, I can handle about one YouTube video a week, and that's still pushing it. So it's like, and it's also like you kind of start thinking more of like, what can I make an interesting video on, instead of like, well, I'll just go down to the park and I'll wait till these ducks are coming into a pond. Not to say that that's what people are doing, but it's like you could get really good at going to a park that birds are coming into every day and just sitting in a pine tree and just watching them dump in, and then taking footage of like last year goose hunt. You took like a couple clips of goose floaters on a pond and like mesh it together and make a really good reel.
Right. I was gonna say, you got to be a good videographer, or like you have to understand, because like I've done a couple reels this year for the turkey hunts, where the turkey would be out in the field, but like my next like clip will be in the woods, and I'm like, wait a minute, I can't do that, because like it just doesn't add up. Like if you understand like the whole process of it, you understand like I can't. You got to have it all flow together.
Yeah, it's kind of a creative thing.
Like you can't have those birds landing in the water,
right?
But the reel is mainly in the field,
right? Yeah, exactly. I mean? Like it has to make sense. Right. Like you're saying, the realism part of it. It's like if that doesn't line up, people are gonna be like,
"What's going on?"
Yeah, I'm not gonna watch any more of this guy because he just keeps, and that's piecemealing stuff together.
What gets tough for us though, we do use a lot of the same clips. I'm not gonna lie. To where it's hard, because like I'm running the hunts, trying to video, and then trying to call the shot, running the dogs, and it's like just a whole lot of stuff going on.
Right. Well, that's what I was talking about. It's like, dude, it becomes chaos.
Yeah,
like it's organized chaos when I hunt. And it's like my brain's in 15 different places, because I'm like,
you're stressed out more than half the time.
Is this camera on my head running? I'll check it 4 different times, because I put it on a 5-minute loop, so I don't use 4 hours worth of footage. I have to go back through it. So it's like I've come up with like little tricks to be able to make my workflow easier, but it's taken me 5 or 6 years of consistently going out and filming these hunts and like trying to get it dialed in.
We got a guy, Jimmy, our buddy Jimmy. He's a character. He's like the character of the group, one of the characters of the group. And he just started putting a GoPro like just on his head for a head mount, just different angles, whatever. Because at some point of the year, multiple times, I'll be like, "Hey, send me any videos you got," because I'm trying to like stay consistent, like just like the podcast that we talked about, once a week, or we try to at least post on the Instagram 4 times a week, which is a lot, and that's what's hard about it all. Yeah. Whether it's a picture or a reel or whatever it may be. But I remember last year, Jimmy was wearing the GoPro. And he's like, "Oh man, I got that right on film. I got it good." And my dad looks over at him, and the GoPro's like upside down or like turned straight down. And he's like, "Dude, you didn't get that at all.
Screw that whole thing.
The thing's not even on."
Well, and that's the tough part too. Is like when you're filming landscape, if you're not filming in like 4K, it's really tough to make reels of it, because then it looks grainy.
Yeah.
And all the stuff I do is in 1080 for YouTube, because I got to pay for storage. Like I have to pay for this stuff to sit somewhere.
Is it that much of a jump from 1080 to 4K?
It's quite a bit. It's like, if a clip, I mean, you're talking about almost 4 times the amount of pixels that you're capturing. So then you're talking about that much more storage. So like, if I have like a 500 megabyte clip in 1080, it might be 2 gigs.
Yeah.
In 4K, and it's like, is that important enough to me?
Right.
And generally it's not. I don't really care. I mean, for the most part, like with GoPros, it's gonna be grainy anyway, because the sensor on them's so small. Same thing with your phone. Like if you don't film something portrait and you film it like this and then you crop it in, you're gonna be like, whoa, what happened?
Right.
But your phone camera has such a small sensor compared to like my mirrorless cameras. Like I just got a camera in today. It shoots 6K.
Jeez.
What? And it's like, am I going to
I didn't even know that existed.
8K exists.
Oh my God.
Yeah, this new camera I bought shoots 6K N-Log, so it's completely uncompressed, and I can like color grade everything. But like in 4K, I'm still like, it doesn't.
I wish I knew what that meant.
Yeah, I guess I
get a little. What does color grade mean?
It's like, so like if you film in log, it's like a very color. It's an unsaturated color essentially.
Okay.
And so it's very like dull.
Yeah.
And you can go in and you can change.
That's kind of what I thought. That's kind of what I thought.
You can like apply them to the clip.
Yeah.
So like when you do that, essentially it gives you more opportunity to like brighten up your clip and like make it look like you can change different colors to make it more like cinematic.
Yeah.
Like cinematic colors are generally like more bluish or more orange.
Yeah.
Like you can do all this crazy stuff to it. But that takes more time. So it's like I have a workflow now for YouTube. I have like kind of a I want to say a format that I do with my videos.
Like an operating rhythm.
It's just like I know how I like my videos structured, so I can film for it and I can kind of do it like autopilot now. And it's not because like, and like, trust me, if I could get somebody to like film for me, or if I had extra time that I could make my stuff better, I would. And like, that's why I upgrade cameras and I add more angles and I do all this stuff. But I solo shoot. I don't have a team of people that I can be like, and I don't have the extra capital.
Right.
Like I can't be like,
you're still at the end of the day, you're a regular guy with a wife
the YouTube channel makes me a few $100 a year. It's not like you know what I mean? Like it's not right. It's nothing crazy. So if I started wanting to like pay people to come and film for me, well, then I'm going to go negative pretty quick.
Right.
And like, I could find people that are like just starting out and want like go through the reps or whatever.
Yeah.
But then I'm sacrificing quality. Like, I don't know. Like, if I have somebody come film for me, it's super good. I'm going to be like, well, I should pay this guy.
Right.
But if I have somebody come and they film and it looks like crap, it's like, well, do I really want to tell this guy it sucks?
Yeah.
Or girl, sorry. But
we kind of had that situation
during turkey season.
During turkey season.
We had a guy that I got a hold of, and I was like, hey, man, like, so we got, this spring we got invited to, well, not invited. We were promoting Migra's turkey load.
Okay. Yeah.
So I got a hold of a bunch of people, and I was like, hey, we need as much video as we possibly can. Like, let's get some stuff done. I need guys out here, like, big time. And it's like, people wanted to do it, but they're like, oh, we're like, I've never videoed before, but I'll do it. But then you got to still pay me this. And it's like, man, I'm not going to be a guinea pig to like your success in a way.
Well, you're risking what you want for their portfolio.
Right.
You're helping build their portfolio for nothing.
Right. Exactly. And so that's the hard part where
I wish my work worked that way.
I mean, we don't.
Hey, I don't know what I'm doing, but pay me for it.
Right.
Yeah. If I have a contractor come in and do something.
Yeah.
And we don't have the money to just start handing out.
That's the thing.
Like housing people and doing all this crazy stuff. And it's like,
yeah.
Listen, man, like it's for fun, basically. At the end of the day, it's for
it's coming out of our pocket.
Right. Yeah. So it's just, I don't know.
Well, it gets weird. It's just like, you can reach out to people, and like what I've learned. So like I had Eric Massey, who kind of helps Corey Foskett at Tangle Free. Eric came on my podcast, I think it was like 2 years ago. And we had this conversation about like the waterfowl industry is not as lucrative as everybody thinks it is. If you're in the industry, you're like, oh, this is the greatest thing in the world.
Right.
But they don't have these multi-million-dollar marketing budgets like
it's
like
not
Yeti.
like that. Yeah, like they don't have walk-in traffic at different branches of stores.
Right.
It's not like sales reps all over the place. It's not like that. Yeah.
And so like you can't expect everybody to. It's tough because it's it's like anything else. It's going to be a diluted market. So that's like I feel like I have like imposter syndrome because I make anything from it. Like, because I don't feel like I'm like anything special, and then I'll go and do these like work for companies that'll pay me or whatever, and it's like it feels weird.
Now, do you think that's because of social media? Because there's so many companies out there nowadays, and YouTube, like creators or video creators,
right?
Whatever. There's so many out there, and people could just start ordering stuff online. Like, I feel like that's when Cabela's like around here, like really was the spot.
Right.
But nowadays, like, since you could order everything online, why go out to any stores when you just sit at home and not wasting the gas, whatever it may be? So it's kind of one of those things where, you know, maybe now it's this way, but back then, you know, that could have been.
Well, and I think too, it's with social media and with the internet, for companies to market their products, they need to spend a lot of money on advertising.
They have to, yeah, 100%.
So they have to spend money on advertising, where, like, you know, like even when they relied on TV shows, you still had to pay for that ad space, and then you had to pay somebody to, you know, make your ad. But that ran all the time. Like you'd see the same ad for 6 months. So you pay somebody one time to make you an ad that's going to run on TV for 6 months to a year. Now, if you run the same ad on Facebook, you're just going to scroll right through it.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to keep coming up with better stuff. You have to keep paying people more money to come up with all of these different things. And it's like, so if somebody comes, you know, to whatever company, Dive Bomb, and they're like,
no, hold on, time out. Let's pick a different company.
That's fine. Well, I'm just thinking
He's
of
not
it because,
being serious.
like,
He's just.
I'm saying, like, just like that's a company that relies heavily on social media and marketing, and that's kind of like they started it, like, with the YouTube people and all that stuff. But like, they had to have gone like negative for the longest time.
Dive Bomb?
Yeah, to advertise stuff.
Have you seen? I'll be honest. Have you seen like this? I forget who's the guy who created it. What's his first name?
It's not Asher.
It's another guy.
Yeah, it's like Asher's like the main guy. Like,
yeah, he's like the face of it.
Yeah, he's like
there's a
half of it, but there's a.
That's the younger guy then, with kind of like the beardish.
Yeah, he's in most of the videos now.
He then I believe it's him. I don't know. One of the guys sits down who created it all, and he talks about how he was selling skinnies on Craigslist and pretty much making no money. And
that's what I mean. Is like, you know, that like a company like that was so heavily involved with social media at their start. Like, they don't have, like, they had to have spent so much money to get that in front of people. Where, like, if you talk about like Avery, Bandit, like
back then.
Just all these companies that have been around for a long time, like, they have stuff they could still go back to.
So let me ask you this then. So, you know, with, you know, Avery, Fred Zink really blew that up. Like, that was his company that he helped, like, design a bunch of layout blinds and all that.
Shawn.
Yeah.
They worked there at the same time.
So, and then like Chad Belding for, you know, Bandit and stuff. In my opinion, because we just had some fishing guys on not too long ago, we started talking about Bill Dance and KVD and all those bigger name guys as well. I don't see in this like day and age people getting that big anymore.
Right.
Like, I don't like it's a lost like art,
like as big as like Zinc foils, and
there's nobody that's going to be like
the pioneer.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But that's because there was just like a
poster child, so to speak.
It was a funned market.
So, but like, how do you, like, especially for you, like, videoing stuff, and I know Fonzie had this question, how do you separate yourself from that to make yourself kind of grow in that aspect of not just the videoing, but, you know, as a hunting group or
I don't think you do. I don't think you separate yourself. You take it like contest calling. You just get better than that person. You have to just work your way up to being good enough to get the attention of people.
I will say, too, though, everybody knows that the waterfowl game is very, it's one of the most political things I've ever seen.
Oh, for sure.
In my entire life. Yeah. It's worse than hockey, and hockey's bad.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, and that I think that has like 50% to do with it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely political stuff to it, and then there's also like in my aspect, I feel like the opportunities that I've gotten have been through networking.
Right.
I feel like what I've done is networked myself and then put my work in front of people.
And just let it speak for itself.
I was just saying,
because it's like I'm not like I don't do a ton of stuff on Instagram, like, and I feel like that's kind of where people are like, well, if you're not big on Instagram, you're not really anything, and I don't care.
I'll say on top of this, for like we just met today,
Yeah,
but I will say like you work like the work that you do shows without even being told. Like it's not like you go out and flaunt about you film for this person or that person or this person. You get known by just staying in your lane and going. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to go crazy about it. You don't have to say, like, oh, I do this, I do that. Like, because you're going to go downhill real quick, I feel like.
Yeah.
You know,
well,
like
that's just not me.
You see so many people nowadays that go and be the guy that he thinks,
right?
Oh, yeah.
And goes straight downhill super fast. The guy that kind of just stays in his lane and does his thing and
sticks to the process the right way.
It seems like they really go a lot further than others. And I feel like photography and videography is the same aspect of it all because, I mean, yeah, it's the quality of the pictures, the videos, whatever it may be, but nobody wants to deal with that cocky guy. Nobody wants to talk to that cocky guy or arrogant guy because I've filmed for this guy or I shoot pictures for that guy.
Yeah.
Who cares at the end of the day?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If you're a nice guy and I can talk to you, that goes a lot further than
I can already think of, like, when you put it that way, I can already think of people off the top of my head.
I'm sure we're thinking about the same people.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And it's I'm sure you know.
And they're not afraid to tell you who they've shot for and who they shoot for consistently and where they've been and how much they get paid. And it's like, nobody wants to hear that shit, but it's like,
well, it's also not that much money.
Right. Well, I don't know on that.
That's why I say, like, the most of my stuff is weddings because weddings pay well. But, like, when I go back to the marketing for, like, the marketing budgets, they're just not there. Yeah. So, like, if you really want the opportunities for waterfall companies, you have to kind of scale back what you think you're going to be paid.
Right.
There's people like Joel Jones, like, that dude's worth every bit of whatever anybody pays him, and it shows.
Right.
But there's not 1,000 Joel Jones.
Right.
So, like, if you want the opportunities that he has, you have to get better than him. But you have to also be realistic and understand that those opportunities don't come up that often.
Yeah.
And I will say too, like, there's steps to that point.
Yeah.
Like, you're not just going to magically be there and then you can't just ask for that amount and just not knowing, like, if you could even do it or not.
Yeah.
Because, like you said even before, you have to be a hunter. Like, you have to be a turkey hunter to be able to, like, get that video and know when to move or
know when
how
to
to hide. And same with, like, waterfowl. You can't ask for his prices when
you don't have his portfolio.
Right.
You can't show that to somebody and be like, hey, I'm as good as him. Pay me what he's making.
There was a guy on our Instagram that recently just posted about, like, if we do apprenticeships for guided hunts. And I was like, listen, man, like, we don't guide hunts or anything, but, you know, you have to be, like, just start asking around. You're going to start, like, scouting for people, understanding stuff. You might just sit in a blind. You might not shoot.
You're going to power wash decoys, probably.
Yeah, but there's steps to it all to get to a point. And nobody sees that kind of stuff anymore. You know what I mean?
Right.
Nobody understands that process. It's just like what we talked about the other day.
Yeah.
Practice.
Yep.
That's when you go hard on it because the game, like,
it should be automatic, second nature. You don't even have to think about it.
Right. But people only see that game, though.
Yeah, they only see the game.
Yeah. They don't see the practice.
They don't see, like, the guides, like the apprentice guides where we go down in Arkansas. Like, they're brushing in blinds. They're power washing decoys. Like, there's one kid that just sits there and literally processes all those hundreds of thousands of birds.
Yeah, no thanks.
I'm going to be out.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, I'm going to be out.
Yeah.
I'll go back to my 9-to-5 job because I ain't processing every bird.
Yeah, there's people that are just that. They're that into it.
Yeah.
And they're like, the only thing I want to do is guide.
That's it. Yeah.
But you got to start, like, and that's kind of, I'm going to completely derail this, but, like, there's people out on Lake Erie. There's really, like, there's no program for, like, becoming a guide. You can just start a guide service.
Oh, yeah.
You can, as long as you get charters capped, as long as you're a captain.
That's the biggest thing.
But it's a class. Like, if you can't
Right,
go through a
yeah.
class and pass it, then, like, you shouldn't be on the lake anyway.
Right.
As a
it's kinda
captain, I mean, so,
scary
like,
to think about.
like, people, like, if you go through a class and you don't learn enough in that class, you can't register that much information to pass it, there's something else going on. But, like, you're probably not going to be able to handle clients. You're not going to be able to run your books. Like, there's a lot that goes. I have 2 LLCs that I have to file taxes on every year. I'm going to pull all of my hair out.
Yeah, that's a lot of work. I've heard it's a lot of work.
And, like, doing that as a guide, like, that's your income. But then you're not just your
entertainment.
Your entertainment. Sometimes you're the chef. You're the decoy guy. And you should be worried about everybody's safety.
Well, that's number one.
It's dude. It is a huge lake, and people can I'm pretty sure that in Minnesota you have to be like, you have to work for a guide for a certain amount of years before you can go off on your own.
Really?
I think that exists other places as well.
I know, like, Alaska has like an apprentice program where, like, you gotta follow a main guide around for so long, and
before
then you can start.
But like, that doesn't happen everywhere, and it's scary to think of like how many people can just become a guide.
I can't think of.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
that's what's nice about, like, the whole new guide law, though. With you have to register. Yeah,
we don't have that in Ohio. We're on the same body of water,
so you don't have to go. Like, you don't have to pay for your guide's license every year.
I'm pretty sure you don't. Because I've been talking to people that have been talking about it in Ohio that are like, I don't want to pay for that in Michigan.
See, and then that's what's tough about it, though, because there's not enough people that do the research behind what guide service they're going for.
But that's what I was alluding to, is like, dude, you can just show up and like.
That was wrong, Mike. Go ahead.
But you can just like. You can see somebody on Facebook. They can start a Facebook page, cost $0.
One good goose hunt, and then everybody's all in for it.
And that's and like on the lake, you have to be a captain,
right?
You
not
can just
small bodies of water.
You can just or a field.
Yeah, right.
If you're a field person or small body of water, you can just be a guide.
Is that true? Maybe I just said that. Small body of water, like an inland lake. Do you have to have a charter license for that?
I'm not going to speak on that because
I was
don't know.
I have no idea either.
I wanted to backtrack because I don't want to say that. It could be completely wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's a Great Lakes thing or if like you can do it on a tributary without it. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But the main point is like, how many times do you hear people like on those like duck guides and leases pages that are like, oh, this person's a piece of shit because I paid my down payment and showed up and they weren't there, or they were drunk or whatever, or high, and it's like, dude, try pulling that shit out there.
Or just hunting like a different piece of property you're not even supposed to be on.
Yeah, that too. But it's like, you know, when Zach was on, he's talking about like all the stuff that he has to worry about every time that he goes out. It's like, I'm not too far off from that. And I'm not even a guide. I'm just worried about like going out on the lake, and people just like don't have any regard for that.
Dude,
I'll be honest. Go ahead.
I had a situation out here where it's like, and I've always been taught when you're on the water, hunting, fishing, whatever, you have each other's back. Right. I don't care if you know the guy or not. If the guy's going down or he's looking like he's in distress, you have everybody on the water should have each other's back.
Oh, for sure. To be fair, though, by law, if you see a boat going down, you have to go help that person out, no matter who it is or what. Unless it's an unsafe condition for yourself, you have to go help that out. So the situation I think you're talking about,
when I was in,
maybe a different one then. Maybe it was, but very similar.
Yeah.
If that person sees you out there in distress, looks at you, and it's safe, they could get into some like serious trouble
for abandoning you.
Right.
Because I had a situation right out here where I was going down. The whole back of my motor was pretty much in the water. The carburetor, the air filter, the muffler were like the only thing staying out. So it was getting air. I have a mud motor. It was an older mud motor. And I was going down like fast. Like my whole boat was filling up. I had a giant hole in the back.
Oh, and you didn't know it.
And I hit a rock and I didn't even know it. So when I started to leave the spot, I was like, holy, I was like, I'm not going as fast.
You're like, why am I standing in water?
God, I'm not even
supposed to be on the outside.
100 yards offshore. There's 3 guys hunting on the shore out here, and they're just watching me.
It was
I'm screaming.
Mud boat, was it?
No.
Okay, so
no, they're outboards with Lunts, but they're just watching, and I'm screaming. I'm spraying my freaking fire extinguisher to the white in the air. Like I didn't have flares. I didn't need them. My boat was too small.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But it was just like, and they're just watching me, and I could see them. I'm looking at them through my binoculars. Like I'm like, okay, making sure there's people there. They're there, and they're just watching me, and they're talking to each other.
Holy crap.
Yeah. So that's the kind of shit I think about too, and it's like,
not to go too far off of what we started on, but I have a pretty crazy story about that. So me and my buddy Tyler that got me into like they kind of showed me around the lake and like helped me out, figure it out. Him and another one of my buddies were hunting this part of the river, and we're coming back. We finished up and we're coming back, and we're rounding like the mouth of the river, and there's this group of guys up on the rocks, and there's a freighter coming in, and they're in line with like, there's an old like rock ledge there, or like a dumping ground for rocks. Mm-hmm. And so it's super shallow. And when these big freighters come in, it puts up like 5-foot waves.
Oh, I could just imagine.
So we're sitting there and like, we're sitting there watching, cause we're like, this might not end well.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there, and this wave, they don't get up the rocks fast enough. It just engulfs them, throws the boat like 6 or 7 foot up onto the rocks. It devoured them. We start getting closer. It's my father-in-law, my sister-in-law's boyfriends on the rocks, all hunting together. I had no idea they were there. And I just happened to be the one that comes up. The entire boat was filled with water. We got my buddy was like, "Oh yeah, I threw this in. I saw it on my garage floor," and he had an extra bilge pump that hooks up with the clips to the battery. And we sat there for like an hour pumping that boat out, just so me and my other buddy, we're bigger guys, could pull it off of the rocks to get it back, and the boat fired right up.
That's scary.
That's what's crazy. Like upriver from where we're at, like up by the bridges and stuff. Those guys don't care. Like them freighters coming through the river.
Oh, dude, it's insane.
And they don't start it until the wake hits them, and then they start the boat up.
So I don't like fishing here. Yeah. There's all these freighters, and I'm like, oh, it's a lot bigger than my boat.
Boat doesn't start up, you're done, because it's not like the freighter, it's just like a train. Like the train ain't gonna stop on a dime.
Oh yeah.
The freighter ain't gonna just stop in the middle of the water.
People are like, they just sit there looking at it. Oh,
and I think people that don't know the water underestimate how much of how many foot of rollers those freighters when they come by.
Not only that, but how fast they're going.
Yeah, and how fast they're going,
like
but they don't look at it.
And then all of a sudden it's on top of them.
Right.
Like, oh, well, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
Like, dude, the current through here is 3.5 miles an hour or something just by itself.
Surface level, it's like 2.5.
2.5.
Yeah, right around there.
But
That's
still,
surface.
Yeah.
Underneath, that undertow is even worse.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
the undertow is really, really bad.
Yeah. But I mean, like, you're talking about a freighter that might not look like it's coming fast, but it's going with the current too.
Well, it's just like the wind turbines. They're going like 200 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Just because they're that big.
Yeah.
It looks like it's going slower. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things.
Yeah. Sorry to derail that so far. We're talking about apprentices for guides, and
we
ended up.
No, this is good though, man. This is good.
We need stories on here.
I mean,
yeah, I got plenty of them, but that was one of the craziest ones because it's just like, dude, we were sitting there and we're like, oh no, they just got wrecked.
It's ironic, man. It's crazy as hell.
And it shows up, and they had asked me to hunt that morning, and I just didn't even think anything of it.
Yeah.
I was like, I already got plans.
Yeah.
And then they show up, and they're right there, and I'm like, oh yeah, you guys just about died.
Yeah. Glad I was
and
the one
I almost watched all three of you die.
Right. That's not
cool.
No, at all.
But then it's like, well, at least I was there, you know, because we were the only other ones out that would have been coming back that way.
What's going on, guys? I'm Dakota with Gator Decoys. So we're just going to give you a little brief overview of our company. So I made these awesome products called telescoping spinning wing decoy poles. In our company, they're called Gator poles. So if you have a Mojo or a Lucky Duck, whatever it may be, and you need to get over 4 foot tall, check them out. GatorDecoys.com. Also, for you guys hunting up north where it gets super cold and you're tired of beating your poles in the ground, check out our new bases that come out just for you guys. You can thread them into the ground with an impact and attach our poles on top, and you're good to go. Decoys also should be coming out soon this year. So keep us up, or we'll keep you up to date on our website and Instagram. Check it out.
At least I don't got to pay for therapy now because I just seen you three die.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus.
Probably need therapy anyway, to be honest.
I think we all kind of do at some point. You know what I mean?
Social media is
that or
that
or just a hard hat all the time to wear.
Yeah, I don't lick enough windows. That's my problem.
Yeah,
I do maybe. I don't know. No. So I don't want to beat away from like who you are as a videographer or photographer, but like getting into it. You said the YouTube and stuff, and not to, like I said, get away from you as a person. But how do you like get involved with someone like Shawn Stahl? Like, how do you like?
That's just it's a kind of a wild story. So we'll get into another story for you guys.
All right.
So I started my podcast in like 2020. I was like getting real heavy into weddings. And so I had a recorder, I had microphones, I had XLR cables, I had all this stuff. And I was talking to somebody and they were like, well, you work on, or you do your YouTube stuff. Like, why don't you talk about the hunts more in depth, like with a podcast? Well, that's not a bad idea. I'm like, but what am I going to call the podcast? Because at the time, my YouTube channel was just Brian Althorpe Media.
Yeah.
The problem with that was I was marketing my weddings as Brian Althorpe Media, and when they would search Brian Althorpe Media on Google, my YouTube videos would come up. And so I got wedding people that are looking to find all these hunting videos.
Duck hunting videos.
Yeah. So I'm like, I got to come up with a different name, and I was just I somehow, some way, it just popped into my head, Too Many Hobbies thing. Like, I was kind of writing stuff down, and I was like, that's pretty good. Because then I can make videos about whatever I want. Mm-hmm. It's not just outdoors. It's not just cameras. Like, I can make a video about whatever I want, and I just like making videos. And I never really thought that I'd, like, it still might not go anywhere, and I still won't make that much money off of it or whatever. But, so I did the Too Many Hobbies podcast. I switched the YouTube channel over to Too Many Hobbies. I was making, so when I was working with Deeks, we got a discount through Tangle Free.
Okay.
So I was always buying Tangle Free stuff. I'd stumbled on it years before that, and I was buying it when they'd go on sale, like when they'd have their 30 and 40% off sales and all that stuff. So I'd buy all this stuff, and I loved it. Like, I mean, I just would buy everything from there because I'm like, man, this is really good stuff, and I'm getting it for a really good price. So I was like, man, I wonder if at any point I could, like, get their attention.
Right.
So I started making, like, review videos of, like, or unboxings of their stuff, and, like, it did fairly well. And so I ended up, as the YouTube channel grew and, like, I started networking with people. There's a group of guys in Canada that do, it's called the Punisher Waterfowl Podcast.
I think I've listened to a few of theirs.
It's pretty good. Well, so
pretty sure I know who they are.
Yeah,
do they have like the sniper logo. Do they have like a?
Yeah, it's the Union 0130. Yeah. And so I've gotten to be really good friends with those guys, and it's been pretty cool. But me and Jeff Coates are going back and forth for who's the most like on the podcast the most as a guest. Okay. So like every time, like if he goes on, he's one ahead of me. If I go on, we're tied.
You're just neck and neck.
Yeah, we go. It's a little friendly competition. But so those guys are pretty tight with like Eric and Corey and Shawn from Tangle Free. And so like after one of the episodes, Damien's like, hey, why don't I just like introduce you to him? I'm like, you don't have to, but sure. So he sends out an email to him and is like, hey, it's Brian. He uses your guys' stuff. He does a lot of videos and stuff. I'm good. With your guys' gear, he's a huge proponent of your guys' company. They're like, well, if you guys awesome. If you ever need anything, let us know. And so I'm like, man, for the season finale of my podcast, I just do it during hunting season. So it's only like 10 episodes or so. And I'm like, for the season finale, it'd be really cool if I had somebody from Tangle Free on.
Right.
So I messaged Eric Massey, and I was like, hey, Damien introduced us. I'm like, I have a podcast, and it'd be really awesome if you came on for the season finale, and we could talk about Tangle Free. So he comes on, dude, we're just, like, we hit it off. Like, it's a great conversation. He's on for, like, an hour and a half, which is, like, one of my longer episodes. But we got into all this cool stuff, and then afterwards we're sitting there talking, and he's like, hey, you know, like we've seen some of your stuff, and you know, Shawn's looking for guys to cover a couple of, like one of his guys or two of his guys that couldn't help him film the TV show anymore. He's like, would you be interested in that? I'm like, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so he's like, all right, I'll text Shawn right now. And 2 days later, Shawn calls me and he's like, hey buddy, it's Shawn Stahl. And he's like, Eric gave me your number, said you'd be interested in filming for us. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, he's like, I've seen some of the stuff. He's like, yeah, any more like video that you can send over? I'm like, yeah, I'll send over my portfolio of like video stuff. And I sent it over, and like an hour later, he's like, yep, you're in. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. And so like, so then it's like, he's like, you know, like, send me your rate and all this other stuff. Like, you know, let me know when you're available. And he's like, in the summer, we'll connect and we'll figure out when you can come travel with us. I'm like, okay, cool. So then like, I don't hear anything from him. And I'm like, how's it actually going to happen? And then it's like July, and I text him. I'm like, hey, I don't want to be a bother, but, do you have any idea of like when you think we'll travel so that I can because I saved all my vacation time after that. I didn't take a single day.
Yeah, because you still got to plan your life too, though, with, you know, wife, kids.
And he knows, he's been really good about that too. And like, so I'm like, hey, just want to know if there's anything, because they always go to Manitoba to film the first episode every year, because Phil bought a house up there, and so they kind of have like a goose camp up there essentially. And they used to be able to go up for 14 days, and now you can only go up for 7. So now they're like, well, we really got to get it in, you know, if we're going to do it. And so, so then we scheduled it out. It was like October. We filmed in Michigan for a few days, went over to Ontario where his other camera guy lives, Junior, and then filmed there for a couple days. And then like 2 or 3 weeks later, we went to Minnesota, filmed for 4 days, and then went to Wisconsin for 2 days and filmed. So it kind of like, it stemmed from all that. But then what was funny is in between Shawn asking me to film for RNT, I had a conversation with Eric, Tangle Free, and I was asking him about like getting a sponsor for the YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. I'm like, you know, like, I don't know how you guys operate, because we talked about the marketing budget thing. Right. And I'm like, what would like, I don't know how to go about asking about a sponsorship. I'm like, but I'd really like to talk to Tangle Free about it. And Eric like he works for Tangle Free, but he like, it's more of like I guess you could call him like a contractor. Like, he's super good friends with Corey, who co-owns it with his sister. And, but he's a sales engineer, like full time. So like, he's able to work from home and like be able to travel with the show and stuff, but he doesn't like, he's not a Tangle Free employee. I'm sure he kind of is, but he's like, that's not his main job. And so I'm asking him, and he's like, can I call you? I'm like, yeah, it's fine. So he calls me, and we're kind of talking through, and he's like, you know, you're kind of in a unique situation. He's like, you could probably get more money if you just like offered your photography and videography services instead of asking for a sponsorship. Because he's like, a sponsorship is so open-ended. Like, if they sponsor me, what do I offer them?
Right.
We'd have to figure that out. Like, views don't carry over monetarily. But if you work for a company and you have deliverables, like you say, every year I will deliver this much to you in exchange for this money, then that makes it a little more manageable, and you probably make more money doing it, honestly. Like, I make more working for Tangle Free as a photographer now than I would have ever asked for a sponsorship.
Right.
So he's like, you know, I'd send something to Corey. I'm like, okay. So I come up with this like proposal. I write it all out. I put pictures on it.
You're like, freaking out before you send it.
Oh, dude, I was shaking.
Send 4 times.
I was shaking when I sent the picture. Like, when I hit send on the email, and I made it all professional. And to my surprise, Corey's like, I mean, I looked at it. He's like, we have something in place, though, for photographers. He's like, let me send your information over to Taylor, who manages all the marketing. And then I get a call from her. And she's like, you know, like, we love the idea of your proposal, but we've already got something. And she's like, can I send it over to you? And if you're interested in that, we'd love to have you. And I was like, okay. So she sent it over, and it's actually a better deal than what I was proposing anyway.
Hell yeah.
It's a lot less deliverables.
Make sure to cut that part out, huh?
No,
I'm just joking.
I mean, like, I think I told Taylor when she called me, I was like, oh, it's actually a little bit better, because it's a lot less deliverables but it's like obviously less money than I was proposing. But I get paid basically at the beginning of the season, so that I will do the, like, part of my contract. Get paid before the season so that I have like the funding
to maybe go out and do these things.
Whatever it is, if it locks me in on my contract or whatever. And then I get paid after I deliver photos, and then they pay me per photo that they want. And this year they bought all of my photos, and then they asked me to do like more, like a more, I don't want to say intense, but like a more intricate version of their like marketing.
Okay.
So like I got offered more opportunity after I delivered the photos because they liked them so much.
Got it.
So it makes you feel good about like
Your
like
work.
I was talking about the imposter syndrome. Like you kind of feel like, well, why are people paying me for my work? But then when you hear from people like that, you're like, that feels good,
right?
You know, and it kind of makes it worth the effort that you put in.
Right.
And it was kind of nice because then like Tangle Free sponsors RNT TV. So I double dipped while I was traveling. I got pictures for. I was helping Shawn take pictures for all the sponsors, but I was also getting pictures that I could use for my Tangle Free deliveries.
Those two companies, just in general, though, if you got something going with them too, you're obviously doing something.
Yeah,
right.
so you're doing something good.
You know what I mean? Like
I appreciate that. It feels surreal, to be completely honest with you guys. Like when I start talking to like this, like I get shaky because like it doesn't feel real.
Yeah,
you know, and like I busted my ass to be better and not be like flaunting what I'm doing.
I just got chills when you said that because like the way my life has happened in the past couple months, it's been the same way.
Same thing, yeah.
And it's like you almost feel guilty because you're like,
I do sometimes.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you feel like I kind of feel guilt sometimes. I'm like, okay, when
do they shut this shit down?
Yeah,
I'm like,
when is this not going to happen
over?
anymore? Right.
Yeah, I mean, like at any time, Shawn could be like, "Yeah, we don't need you anymore," but it'd still be like, "Oh, good. It's cool. I filmed."
Resume though, right there.
Yeah, but I really don't want him to be like,
Yeah.
I feel like we're on pretty good terms.
Yeah.
I feel like that. Like it's not as big, obviously, but with Gibraltar Duck Hunters coming in and Point Moulet coming in and talking to them about the festival coming up, and it's like, oh yeah, just let us know what you need. We make it happen. It's like, whoa, what makes us different from anybody else?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
the
like,
effort.
Right.
What the heck's going on?
It's the effort. Like, I mean, with Migra and
we don't see that
and GK
though.
calls. Yeah, but that's the thing is like when you're so deep into and I hate saying it, but like when you're deep into the grind of this shit, you don't look around.
No, you don't.
You don't look around and be like, okay, so where is this going? And that's kind of like, I don't. You try not to like say anything about it because you're like, if this is over tomorrow, then I've just told a bunch of people that I'm going down this path and you don't want it to end. So you're kind of like, I don't want to say anything prematurely,
right?
You know, and like, and that's I really like people that follow me on like YouTube. I talk about it there and I talk about it on the podcast because it's interesting for the people that have been kind of following along with it. Mm-hmm. But outside of that, it's not like I don't post shit on like hardcore waterfowl for the whole country to see. Right. I keep it pretty local to like some, like maybe one Michigan page and like the few Ohio waterfowl pages. Because I think that people that are from Ohio find it much more interesting than like somebody from Idaho that hunts the Snake River and they're like, I don't really give a shit what this guy's
doing. I just don't think there's enough people though, like what we were going to earlier though, it's like not enough people like understand the people, the grind, like what
for
is
sure,
behind it though. You know what I mean? Like back in the day, those people from Idaho would have like died for like your position.
Yeah.
I mean anybody would, don't get me wrong, but like they don't like look that far into it anymore. They just see the company and that's it. And
when they also are like, well, what is it?
Right.
Like, they don't, like, because there's so much content out that it's really hard to get people to focus on stuff.
And that was like the whole thing when Migra reached out to us this year. I mean, we've been working with them a few years now. Thank you. A few years now for like the waterfowl, like just the loads, because that's all they had, obviously.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're reaching out for their turkey loads, and it's like, wait a minute, like you're doing A, B, C, D, and E for us. Like, what have we done for you guys? But like without us even knowing, we've probably done a lot more than we think.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those weird feelings, and it kind of leads me into like the next question for me. There's so many people nowadays, and it goes back to like asking you to film for them and stuff. Everybody wants like a sponsorship deal or be on the pro staff or whatever it may be. What's the right reason? Because me and Alex talked about it the other night. Like, you know, we're closing the distance on 10,000 followers.
Yeah.
Which,
congrats.
I appreciate it. In my eyes, like, yeah, it's nothing to bat an eye about, but I don't feel like we're still anything at that. You know, so it's like, what kind of, I don't know, what's a good way to ask for sponsorships or go about that kind of things? Because people just
have like action items, like a plan of action, you know, like you know what I mean?
I mean, I think it's a weird question, not physically, but I just mean like when you when you think about like, it depends on what you want out of it. Like if you want money, you have to tell them what you think you're worth, and then you have to give a company like, this is why I think I'm worth that much. But if you don't come up with like, there has to be a give and take. Both sides have to agree to something. So like if Migra's like, well, you know, we feel like we give you guys shells and you guys give us a shout out, and you're like, oh, it's perfect with me, then both sides are happy.
Yeah.
So a sponsorship, like you have to feel like you're getting what you're worth.
Growing together too is what I like to say. Like you're gonna grow their business, they're gonna grow your business.
Yeah,
it's
like
gotta go both ways.
I look at, and like when I was talking with Eric about it, when we were talking on the phone, you know, a sponsorship a sponsorship doesn't really mean a whole lot. You want, like in my eyes, I want to build a partnership.
100%.
Like I don't want to be like so I do a lot of work. This is subjective, but like I do a lot with a company called Huntmark. They make dog bumpers and like training stuff. Well, I was posting pictures to, have you guys ever seen that Camo Systems page?
Yes.
And they're always asking for like if they're like, I'll post a picture of blah blah blah.
Yep.
I'd always post like really high quality photos there. And just out of nowhere, the guy that runs, called Swiftwater, is the marketing company. They market for like 10 different companies. And so he's like, hey, we have this new dog training like company we really want to like market, but we've seen all of your pictures that you post and they're really high quality. We'd really like to figure out like a way that we could work together. Mm-hmm. And for me, I'm like, I don't have a ton of like dog training stuff. Like I do, but like it's old. Like I've worked through it and it's worn down and whatever. And I'm like, well, what are you guys looking for? And they're like, just like some photos. I'm like, so if I give you X amount of photos, what's the exchange? And they're like, well, we'll give you this. And I'm like, that's pretty fair. So now every year they send me like a big care package of stuff that I use a lot.
Yeah.
And
that's really cool, man.
And I just send them some photos.
Yeah.
Like it's not a ton of photos. It's what I feel like is worth what they're sending me.
Right.
But I've built a partnership with them. So when I email them every year, it's like I put Huntmark, Brian Althorpe Media partnership check-in.
Yeah.
And that's the thing for us, like as a group, why I just like, we're not looking for money or anything, which it'd be nice to be able to like fund like the room or do stuff like that.
Afford AC.
But yeah. Listen, man, it ain't that bad right now. It ain't that bad right now.
I know where you're at, man. We're downriver right now, all right?
Listen, man, I had the fridge open. The fan was blowing.
I'm comfortable. Don't worry.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm just
shut your mouth, man. No.
We got really comfortable during this podcast.
But, like, it's just like, give me 10% off, like help me out, and we'll shout you out during the podcast or whatever it may be.
But that's the stuff that that's the conversation then.
Because like we've emailed companies and we're not looking for handouts. Right. Like I don't want none of that.
Yeah.
I want to be able to work a relationship. I want a relationship.
Partnership.
Yeah.
Sounds way better.
Yes.
Yeah. But like GK with Glenn and them guys, like I had Paul in. I was like, hey Paul, like, you know, I'd love to like work with a Michigan-based company, like a call company, and really get a relationship or a partnership with those guys. next thing you know, Glenn's talking to us, and we're going to be running booths now for them. We've only known them for a year, but like the bond that we've already created between us, it just shows, one, the people they are and the people that we are.
Yeah.
And, that's just kind of the relationship that we want. We want to be able to talk to those guys. We want to have a friendship with those guys.
Right.
We don't want just like hey, give me this and we'll just shout you out or whatever. Like, we want to back and forth with it all.
But that's the conversation that you have then. You go, like, if that's what you want discounts, then that's what you work into. And you say, like, this is what I'll offer you, but we would like this in return.
Right.
And, it's funny that you mentioned that with Glenn because, so I've blown a GK call for, but for 5 years now. Bought it at Point Moulet, blew it up there, and for all I know, Paul could have helped me with it. I have no idea. It was so long ago. But so I was blowing GK calls, and then my buddy, we're gonna go down another rabbit hole here. My buddy that I roomed with in college, he got me into duck hunting. His dad carves decoys, and would carve stuff for Bob and Glenn at GK that they would send over to like the Jack Miner stuff.
That's crazy to me because
it's insane.
Glenn was telling me that his dad was doing all that stuff like at Jack Miner, and I'm like, wait, what? And I try to have him on the podcast, and Glenn's like, absolutely not.
Yeah, he won't do it.
Well, Glenn's shutting it down.
Yeah.
Because Glenn's like, dude, I don't know what he's going to say at any point. Like, it ain't going to happen.
That's
I was
fair.
like,
Yeah.
Dude, it's fine, but just, he's like, no, absolutely not.
But so after when I was after the season, I take a bunch of photos and stuff, and like I was posting them, but I'd tag GK, and I was like, I was tagging them and everything. And one day, Glenn messages me through through Instagram, and he's like, "Hey man, we really enjoy the photos that you've been tagging us in." He's like, "We need to get something together. Like we need you on our team." He's like, "We got the calls and you got the skills on the camera." And I'm like, okay, like what do you want to do? And he's like, well, we can give you some calls in exchange for some photos. And so like, that's what we did. He gave me a bunch of calls that I can take pictures with. I blow them. I absolutely love them. And so that's kind of how I got in with Glenn and GK, which is, it's just kind of funny that like they work with you guys and I've been doing stuff with them. We had no idea, but I just kind of like figured out like how much the calls that he was giving me were worth and like what I felt comfortable with sending him every year.
Yep.
Because I kind of split it up. Like instead of sending him a ton of photos the first year and being done with it, it's like, well, I'll just send him X amount of photos every year. And then I went up to like the festival and took some pictures like for the booth and stuff. And it's just those are the kinds of conversations that I think partnerships are stronger than sponsorships.
Right.
And I feel like a sponsorship needs to be a partnership.
And I think a lot of younger guys that are coming in or girls that are coming into the game, they need to understand that because a lot of the guys, even like the call companies like with Firebolt or GK or whoever, they're like, hey, can we bet on pro staff? And they're like, oh, send us like your goose calls and we'll run them. It's like, listen, man, we don't need you as much as you need us at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like, they don't need us at the end of the day. But that's why like that relationship grows and it goes to where it goes because
you gotta be humble about it too. Like you gotta make sure like you gotta understand like if you think you're hot shit, there's somebody out there that's way better. Like I'm not a good goose caller. I can call competently enough that I can work geese.
Yeah, you hear that, Gavin? No, so
but I know I'm not a competition caller. I know I'm not like anything crazy. So what can I do to work with a call company if I can't blow a call?
That's how I am.
Take some pictures.
And that's why I'm so glad that Fonz moved back because of the fact that like
Me too.
We think
Appreciate it. Thank you.
we think so alike towards like the hunting community and like how we look towards like the bigger picture, I guess you want to say.
Yeah.
Where it's not like we're not trying to do too much. We're just staying in our lane, and whoever wants to jump aboard can jump aboard, and if not, it ain't hurting our feelings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally get that.
It's I don't know. I feel like we're losing that as a hunting industry because of, social media and reality.
Well, so everybody wants to make money being full time in the industry.
They're losing the passion.
Oh, do they have no idea how there's not that much money in the
That's what I'm saying. Like, dude,
there
with
is
the marketing,
no bucket of funds.
Like, unless you work for a company specifically, like,
or you're a chick.
Yeah, if you give nice
You can say
tits, you
that
can
here.
pretty much do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But it just like there's just not there. It's hard to say. It's just like if you don't specifically work for the company as a business,
Right.
then you're not offering anything really to them. Like a very small portion of people are.
I'll say this. I mean, look at Chad Belding, for example, and we
Yeah.
never really brought his name up in this podcast, but he does the Fowl family, right? Look how many sponsors that are helping him out through that journey, through the season.
Yeah.
All them guys are chipping. It's not one company. It's all those guys that are helping him out and living his dream.
But that's the thing too, is like, I mean, even with RNTV, like RNT Calls is a big company, but like, I don't know that they could fund that many people that work for them without like the TV show supplementing it.
Right.
And it's like, there's 12 sponsors on that show. And like when Shawn starts breaking it down for me, I'm like, man, that's pretty wild.
Right.
But like that show's on its 19th season. There's a lot of meat behind that.
Right.
And like, there's a lot that they can lean on and be like, hey, this is a real thing.
We got this guy.
Yeah,
like,
but at the
behind
same
it.
time, but it's 12 different sponsors making that shit happen, funding those trips, funding me going on those trips with Shawn. It's like it's there. Not every company has that, and every company wants to try to do that. Like there's companies obviously that can do but like even when you start looking into like people like companies with YouTube channels, I know like how much money people will make off of like the views.
You know what's tough though for YouTubers though? People are out there, and I don't mean to cut you off because I know you got a question.
No, you're good.
But YouTubers like will purposely post something to throw their own name in the dirt, but people are still talking about their name.
Yeah,
to be able to like promote
We're thinking the
themselves.
same
Yeah,
person,
I've seen that. Yep.
And it's like
A lot.
man, like
or people, I guess.
Right.
it's probably the same person, but like it's crazy though that there's got to be something that you do that's got to stand way out compared to everybody else to be that guy.
Right.
And it's just like, I don't even want to do that. I want to be me, and I don't want to be somebody different.
Yeah.
Those people can do whatever, and it sucks because those people like that, we don't get seen a lot like that.
Yeah.
Because then you're almost like getting into the entertainment side of it where they're telling you what to do.
Yeah.
And you're not your own authentic, genuine self. But it's crazy, too. I was going to go off of what you said. Like, I know, too, from just people in the industry, like how many of these companies you would think like kids out of college, I'm going to go work for Tangle Free, I'm going to go work for Sicko, blah, blah, blah. How many of these companies actually use third-party rep groups and they don't even have their own sales reps? Like I know
that happens in every industry too. Like it's, I mean, like even in my, like in construction.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you buy equipment from somebody, you don't buy it from the actual OEM. You buy it from their local rep.
Yeah.
You're not an engineer, are you?
Yeah.
Are you really?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he told us that.
I don't think he was up there when you asked.
You're not like an engineer though. Like you don't like sit there, because I got engineer buddies that'll sit there and they're like computed and they overanalyze every little thing I say, and I'm like,
are you?
Bring it back down.
That's I'm a waterfall hunter.
Yeah, that is true. I know.
I'll end this podcast right now, man. Them engineers, no offense, they don't know nothing about the job site,
dude.
It's tough.
I get it all the time. Don't you worry about that.
Okay, that's
Dude,
it.
I've been. So my first job out of college was down here in Monroe. I traveled all over the country.
Where'd you work at, Monroe?
Detroit Stoker Company.
Oh, okay.
So I was a field engineer, and I would travel all over the place, and they'd be like, oh, this engineer don't know nothing. It's like, I'm here fixing your shit. Like, we're on the same team.
Right.
Like, I'm here to help you.
Right.
See, it
But
depends
like, I'm
on
not a design engineer.
the guy. Yeah, okay, so
I've always been a field or a plant engineer. Like I've worked in plants. I work like working on active projects. I don't necessarily design
new
anything.
builds because them.
Yeah,
I'm an engineer as well.
Well, it gets tough. Yeah,
I'm an operating waterfall.
We really derailed there. I'm trying to
say,
derail it so people don't keep shitting on me as an engineer.
I'm just saying, man, because my old job, now in my new job, I don't care if you're an engineer or what, because If you got a light out, call me, email us, and I'll be there in about 2 hours after my nap. But I mean,
I need that job. Where do you get
Dude,
that?
I'll tell you after the podcast.
It's
Fair enough. All right.
But
yeah, when you start talking about like all these companies and like trying to get money out of it, like the waterfowl industry just isn't where it is. If you want to make money in the outdoors, work for a fishing company.
I was just gonna say the same thing because
Jesus
whitetail.
Christ, dude, they got
ain't
so
nothing-
much. Dude, whitetail is even tough. Like,
yeah,
whitetail, turkey, waterfowl, it's not there. Go find somebody that works for a fishing company. You fish longer than you can hunt.
Yeah, the way I look at it too is like you go somewhere, go to the mall, ask 50, 60 people at the mall, get them all in a group, ask them how many of them duck hunt. So right there, that
Probably
tells you.
zero.
Probably maybe 1 to 2 people, maybe. You know what I mean?
Or
So
they
then
did
that
it
shows
10 years
you.
ago.
the mall might not be a good spot.
But you know what I'm somewhere
Yeah,
populated. Get a bunch
Yeah.
of people and you ask, and it shows you right there that okay, there's not that much money going into it. You know what I'm
well, I
saying?
mean,
It's
like,
not
what-
like
I
somebody
don't know,
buying
like-
DeWalt or Milwaukee or
Right.
Ryobi, right?
Yeah,
I mean, look at the product though. The product's got to like decoys in general.
Yeah.
You're throwing a lot of money into the decoys
Yeah.
to where once you got decoys, it's not like you got to buy them every year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Once you
Yeah.
have them, you have them.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong; people are buying new ones every single year, and you know,
Don't
but it's
look
far
over
and
here.
few between though.
I can't afford that.
No.
That's my problem. I buy too many.
Luckily, SX has been helping us out big time. And Tangle Free.
Shout out.
And Tangle Free.
Oh, Tangle Free. They hooked me big time. Yeah, big time.
I mean, we've used a lot of the Tangle Free stuff. The panel blinds, I'm not a big fan.
Well, then don't have Shawn on here.
Well, no, because I would love to talk to him because my dad actually talked to him quite a bit about, like, we had the panel blinds when they first came out and they were falling over a lot, but now you guys have like the whole framing behind it and everything.
Yeah, framing's different now.
Stabilizers
So-
are really good.
Stabilizers is, yeah.
Before that, we were using them and it's like, man, these like high winds and stuff, they were falling over on us. It just, I wasn't a big fan of it.
Right.
But now it might be different. So I don't want to talk bad about it, nor will I ever talk bad about a company. I'm not just saying that because you're here. But I would love to pick his brain, one, just him as a person, but about products as well. Because the Tangle Free decoys, I will say, are one of the hardest decoys. Like they go through.
They really do. I've done some.
Tangle Free's got good stuff, man.
Yeah, well, and like, I'll leave the product stuff if you guys are able to get Shawn on here. I'll leave that for him. But like, he helped design the panel blinds for a long time.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not saying that to make you feel bad about not liking him, but like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
no, but just the process of hearing like what he did with it, like, he was doing that basically on the side while he's working for RNT and filming TV shows. Just a really interesting story behind it. But like, I helped. So the Punisher podcast, Damien texted me one day and he was like, "Hey, I'm having Corey on from Tangle Free. You want to guest host with me?" And so like we went through like the process of everything that they do at Tangle Free for the decoys, and like there's way more that goes into like getting a decoy from even from China. Like that's where they come from, and like getting the molds, all the painting. Like they're all hand painted. They're not like just like mass painted.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so like somebody like has to paint, like there's different layers.
Each individual
of it, like,
one?
yeah, and then they all get individually bagged when they're
Even in China?
I don't think it's
Come
somebody
on.
in China though.
Come
that
on.
does it.
In China,
paints it.
come on.
China.
It's crazy.
That's somebody here that does it.
There's someone putting shoelaces.
But
and
there's a
shoes
guy.
in
But the
China.
guy that
Come on.
that does all of the molds, like he also will like hand carve it. He sends it to Corey. Corey looks at it. He marks stuff on it. He doesn't like sends it back to him, and they go back and forth like on every single decoy.
But here's the thing,
That's
though,
wild.
and
That's
I will
crazy,
pretty cool, though.
say this about like the Tangle Free. A lot of the time, like, and we just had a lot of these conversations with our fishing podcast recently, where they want the top notch lure or decoy or whatever. You don't need that.
Right. Yeah.
Go with like what you're hunting, like know what birds you're hunting. If you're hunting 12 birds, like are just family groups, then yeah, go for like the good looking decoys, whatever it may be, like go all out for that.
Yeah.
If you're hunting like big feeds and chasing birds all over the place, people think that you need to buy 20 dozen DSD.
Right.
It's not the case, man.
Yeah.
Those Tangle Frees, we had 12 dozen, I think it was at one time, if not more. And it's like, you don't need nothing crazy. Like it's people think it's some extravagant like science behind it.
Yeah.
No, it's just throw it out there. Good calling, good hides,
Right.
And you're good.
Yeah, the hide thing, that can be a whole podcast on its
Oh,
own.
no,
God,
yeah.
People that I
sure.
talk to about like, oh, I just I go do this and I can't get them to finish, and it's like,
You see a
you look
picture, they're
you look
blind.
above you.
Right.
Is there anything covering you? No. Well, they probably saw you.
Yeah, 100,
Not
125%.
They have small brain. They got a small body. It's
Yeah,
proportional.
right.
I mean, I'll say the
They're
same
not
thing.
dumb birds.
With you said, like with Shawn, like running like the 3 blinds no matter what. We'll run 4 A-frames no matter what. I don't care if we have a whole blind empty.
Right.
I want that like original tree line.
Yeah, you want that illusion that
Yeah.
it's a tree line. Like you don't want a blocky. Well, the A-frames especially, because like the doors on the panel blinds, you can kind of open them and make them not as blocky. But like the A-frames are a frame,
Right.
so like it's hard to make them not look like a box.
Right.
So you gotta brush them right to make them look like they're not just a square.
I mean, luckily last year we were able to
rectangle,
use
I
our
guess.
permanent blinds, which thank God we got
That's
those.
super nice,
Yeah,
too.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's been a game changer for sure.
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
of work, but it's been a game changer. Last year was a lot of standing corn too for us down here.
Oh, that's helpful.
It was.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen any of our like Instagram videos of
Yeah.
the water hole, like the duck hole. That was all standing corn, so we just hide right in the corn.
Yeah.
And didn't have to worry about hide or anything. We just throw a dozen decoys out there, and they want to be there. So
yeah.
just sit still and shut up.
Yeah.
You know
That's
what
the
I
thing
mean?
too is that people get their head moving around. It's like
You got
Just-
no idea.
just
man.
just keep your
I
head
can't.
down.
That just
yeah.
We said a name before this podcast, and I don't know if you remember. It was the West Virginia quote unquote guys.
Yeah.
I'll tell you about it more after, but it's bad. It's bad. And
everybody's like that too.
But the hard part is like at the time I'm doing all the scouting. People are doing this crazy stuff out in the field, and it's like, listen, man, I know it's your hunt. Like you're not paying for anything or whatever, but you're messing it up not just for you, but for me as well.
Well, it's for other people
and other people.
It's just
But
other people. Like people get selfish.
if you're paying for it, that's one thing. I wouldn't care as much, but like I'm putting all this time and effort and gas money into my own vehicles,
Right.
and not getting a dime from it besides attaboy, a pat on the back, and that's it.
Yeah. My truck doesn't run on that.
Not attaboys.
And that's the thing. It's like they don't understand that kind of stuff. They just think
Yeah.
that you're just going to show up and shoot birds, and it's like that's not the case.
And then you
man.
want to know what else kills me?
Let's
Is
hear
the
it.
people overcalling completely.
Oh yeah. I don't
You get
call unless
all
somebody
these-
looks at me and they're like, "Hey, call."
And
I'm
dude,
like,
and I'm
"Oh,
a
if you want me
huge,
to."
I'm a huge believer on you can kill them over clucks and moans. You don't have to
Oh,
get
yeah.
into the whole
Oh yeah.
$5.
That's
You know,
Well, and so
you-
that's what I was saying. Like I'm not a good goose caller, but I can cluck and moan, and that's all I use.
I really don't think, in my personal opinion, man, it depends on the situation. Obviously, it's situation depending, but I think 70% of the time you're good on clucks and moans.
I mean, well, I'm 100% because that's all I do.
Yeah.
You know what you're going to
So
kill?
you're the proven trial.
You know what you're going to kill birds on?
Tell me.
Is being able to read the birds.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
If you don't know how to
know
read
when to
birds,
call.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like if
gotta
you
read
don't,
their body language.
if you
man.
can read birds, you'll be that much better. Like there'll be a flock coming in, you're hammering on them.
Yep.
They flare off. Well, guess what? I'm gonna change something up.
Yep.
Maybe not the decoys right
Yeah.
away. Maybe less calling. Maybe I'll
Right.
call them on the sides or the corners and,
Yep.
and maybe try to get them to come back in.
Throw a couple side clucks out. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
People think they got the lanyard on them, bunch of bands, whatever. Check how heavy this is,
Mine got 0
and
on that.
and you know just relax. Just
Yeah.
sit there, shut up, and
Stay still.
yeah.
Get some cover over your face.
This is a whole nother topic. We could probably have
Yeah,
another
this is a
podcast.
whole
That's
nother
what I mean. That's what I
podcast,
said. It could be
dude.
I could be a whole topic.
Yeah,
on
fuck, we got.
But
yeah,
if you get invited
Gavin,
on a
yeah.
podcast, or not a podcast, jeez, oh Pete, if you get invited on a hunt, and the main guy is calling and is somewhat of a decent caller, follow him.
Listen
Don't
up,
be
right,
that guy
yeah.
that don't be that guy that's trying to overcall him. He's the one that's been seeing the birds.
Right.
Follow him because the calling, like the team calling or like two guys calling, that'll ruin a hunt, man. I feel like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, those guys have to be in sync.
There's a time.
Yeah.
There was I want to say molt gear. Molt gear. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on the name.
Like a person?
Yeah. Who's molt gear?
Shit.
I don't know. Anyway,
Like we all got sidetracked by
yeah, the fireworks. So he was saying, like, when you're calling as a team, you want it to make it sound like all like in sync, like a smooth rhythm up and down, or maybe some low calling, some high calling. You don't want it to be over calling each other, and it sounds that much better.
I think about our last hunt of the season. Me and you sat next to each other, and I'd use your dad's call.
Yeah,
I thought that was one of the better times that I had, like in the calling cadence with me, you, and your dad.
Yeah.
And it was just like, but you just read, like, when you've been doing it for so long, you just read it.
Right.
You would do your cadence. I'd cluck and moan. Your dad would do something else.
Scott,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd do my cadence. You'd moan, and it was just like you read off each other.
Right.
And I thought, I just thought it worked so well if those just trees weren't there. But.
That was the first time me and Fonzie hunted ever before.
Oh, really?
Last late season. We get to this field. It wasn't even.
I call it the runway.
We got a permanent blind on one side of the tracks. We got permission behind this house. He's got a little bit of grass behind the house, but the birds were feeding in this field.
Yeah.
We get there, and we pull into this guy's driveway.
Yeah, listen to this.
We're setting up on the backside of his garage.
Snow covers. We're running snow covers to blend in with the garage.
So we run snow covers in the back because the garage is white. So we run snow covers in the back and regular covers on the front to make it look like it blends into the grass. So if the birds are high,
okay, yeah. I see what you're saying.
they'll see the white on the back of the blind to think it's the garage, but then the grass up front.
That's super smart.
I think we ran like 2 dozen, maybe 3 dozen.
It was no more than 3 dozen.
But like, you know how late season they kind of start branching off with each other's 2s, 3s.
Oh yeah,
almost back into the family groups.
Yeah. I love that.
And it's funny how many people like, man, why are we running it like that? Like that bird's like 100 yards away from us, or those two over there, like those don't even make sense. Like it was just one of those hunts where small is better because late season it's usually more the merrier.
Yeah.
And
big party.
That was some of the best decoying geese we've had in a long time. Like they did it. Like when they were coming across, like it was just strictly a traffic hunt.
They're belly the frick up, man.
And I'm telling you, they were in our face. I don't know, it was nuts. We had like the snow covers over the dog blinds.
Yeah.
And I got my black lab on one side, the red lab on the other side, and it's hard to hide them against a white sided garage. I don't know. It was just one of those hunts.
They just didn't stop coming either. And if those trees weren't there, man.
I know, because they would split us. So they would try to start working us, and then the trees, like they didn't want to swing.
Okay,
so they would just split the trees.
Yeah.
And couldn't do anything about it. But I don't know. It was
an awesome hunt, though.
You get there in the morning, you're like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it works out that way.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, that actually worked.
I've been there before. Fun. Our problem, like, we don't really deal with the trees too much, but our problem is power lines. Because we have an Edison plant, and then everything runs like through fields, basically where we live. And so, like, some of the good fields, it'll be like, oh, well, they're set up on this side of the power lines, and you have to set up like refuge side of the power lines, because if you try and set up on the other side, they're going to lift up and then they don't come back down, and it just becomes like a whole whole thing.
That's one thing that I preach a lot on, whether it's scouting or whatever it may be, like knowing the field that you're hunting, though.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know, whether it's that one tree or the power lines, like you got to know them birds are going to swing through them power lines. Like you might see them with live birds even doing it.
Right.
But it's so weird though.
With live birds.
So weird,
they'll just fully commit to 2 live birds on a field, and you got 5 dozen full bodies, and you're like, what is going on here? And
it kind of brings me, we'll kind of slightly talk about it, but silhouettes. You like silhouettes?
Yeah, I have no problem with silhouettes.
I hate silhouettes.
But I have specific times that I will use them. So, like, there's very few times that I'll set out a full silhouette spread. If I do, it's because there's a reason that we can't get into a field with like full bodies. If I have to walk a half mile into a field, I'm not going to bring three dozen full bodies when I can bring 6 dozen silhouettes in a sled. So it's like, for me, it's a convenience thing. If I can use them but like also, I mean, early season, I've set out mostly, I like to mix silhouettes and shells.
Okay.
Because I feel like where I'm at, the birds that are coming up, like if they fly over us and they look down and they don't see anything, they're going to be like, well, what's going on here? But if I can mix in shells, like I have quite a few shells and I'll mix in full bodies and stuff. Like I don't like using silhouettes by themselves. I like using them as fillers. Yeah. And then like in like kill holes, we'll put full bodies. And I'll do like, I don't know, some point I'll do. Are we stopping?
No, you're good. Okay. You're good.
Or at some point I'll do like shells, full bodies, shells, silhouettes, but rarely I'll do full silhouettes.
So let me ask you this: there's a company that top-down decoys.
Yeah.
I don't use them at all, but
Chase,
I've seen them. Yeah.
Chase bought those from one of our guys in Wisconsin bought those.
But do you think if you mix those into your silhouette spreads,
he don't like them?
But like if you mix them into like a straight skinny spread,
yeah,
because a lot of people start getting like kind of weirded out with. And I think it's a trial and error kind of thing because they don't spread the decoys out far enough.
Yeah.
To where like if the bird's over top of you, if they're tight, they ain't gonna see them straight down.
Right.
But if you throw those top down silhouettes in there,
yeah,
then there's at least something there.
Right. But I guess I don't know. Here's a topic that a point then. So if you scout a field and birds are working high over the field and you're running traffic.
Yep.
Just throw full bodies. If you're concerned about them disappearing above you, just throw full bodies. But if they're working slow through a field, and what I've learned about silhouettes is that you can set them, 90 degrees from each other, and as birds are flying by, it starts to look like movement. And that's where I've had success with it, is that when I use silhouettes, I specifically put them in certain spots. I don't just go out there and just throw all of them the same way.
So the biggest things with silhouettes I heard was like 3 or 4 steps apart, and then you don't want to make sure they're in a straight line with each other. But
yeah, I'll stagger them, and then I'll put them 90 and like yeah. So it worked out really nicely for me last year. We have a field. I have a farmer buddy, and he farms like 1,200 acres. He's the only one that has permission for all of the fields, and then he knows other farmers in the area. He's really good at getting permission. The trade-off is that I give him my old decoys.
I mean, you don't really have to tell everybody like what you really have to do for them.
I'm just saying.
Well, behind closed doors, like we don't got to know what you do back there. I just say
I knew.
It's a lot more than just decoys.
That's what I'm saying.
So I have like a good. He's not a huge like hunter. Like he's a farmer first, and then after he's done farming, he's like, I got time, I hunt.
Yeah.
So I hook him up with like some of my older decoys, and I'll get him like, he needed a pair of boots last year, and I was working with a company. I'm like, send me some boots. And so
light boots?
Huh?
Was it light boots?
No, they were. It was Dry Code. There's a company called Dry Code. They changed to True Dave, and they wanted some stuff. So I was like, yeah, just send me these boots, and I gave them to him. But so like he's not a huge waterfowl hunter, but he'll tell me when birds are in an area, and so it'll be like. But we also like he doesn't have a trailer. I'm in the process of getting a trailer, but the problem with like the fields that we get to hunt is they're wet. So we have to walk into most of them. So like late season this year, I was able to get my father-in-law, me, and him to go out, and we all brought sleds. So we were very limited on the amount of gear that we could drag that far into the field. And so I was like, well, let's do like, if we can get a dozen full bodies out there, I'll bring a bag of 5 dozen silhouettes, and then I'll bring my bag of the shells that I can stack, and they're compact enough that I can bring them in. So we had like 2 or 3 dozen shells, a dozen full bodies, and 5 dozen silhouettes in a late season hunt that we had to walk into. And as soon as the birds would come over, I had them, I had my certain setup for the silhouettes, and I don't know if it was what make or breaks the hunt, but I mean, when we got birds that come over the trees, I could decoy them right in. That's late season when generally your silhouettes don't work. But it's like
I've
those
seen
are the
everything.
specific kinds of hunts that it's like I like having silhouettes in my arsenal. Because if it was like if I was only dependent on full bodies, I don't know that I would have had enough out there to work those birds.
Yeah.
See, that's where, like, for me, I'm lucky enough to where I had the relationship with the farmers where, I mean, there's probably 20, 30,000 acres that we can hunt
Yeah,
around.
that's way more than that.
It's
Christ.
It's crazy, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't know how it happened. It's just like there, but
Yeah. Sounds like a sponsorship.
yeah, no, they do way more than they need to, and it's stupid. But we have the relationship though, where it's like, hey, do you mind if we just drive the 4-wheeler out there, and we'll drive the 4-wheeler out there with we have the setup now where somebody's driving the 4-wheeler back and forth. I'm setting the decoys up. Somebody's
Right.
brushing in the blinds a little bit more, so we're able to do that. But a lot of the farmers too, not that we have to deal with it, but for other people, they don't want the 4-wheelers or anything out there.
Right, yeah.
So in them circumstances, I understand the silhouettes, but
Right.
for us, it's like, why not have someone go back and forth and run full bodies if we
Right.
have them?
Yeah.
And,
well, I'm
you know.
saying, like, if it came down to, like, well, I was able to do that,
Right,
then I probably wouldn't have the silhouettes or use them. But, like, we were talking at the beginning, like, I like to be ready for everything.
Right.
So, like, I have kayak for small water that I can't use a motor in. I have a mud boat for water that I can't get my 20-foot lake boat in. I have my 20-foot lake boat for when I need to be ready for that. And it's like,
We're
I
too
have
similar.
diver decoys, I have long line divers, I have single divers, I have, all this stuff, like different rig puddle ducks. Like I don't ever want to be constricted for a hunt because of my gear.
Because you don't have it. Yep, that's exactly how I am, and he knows that. Like, I just would add if there's something I didn't have that someone else had. I'm like, that's a crutch. I gotta have that. And
yeah. Well, and that's like, I mean, I have a lot of friends that I've hunted with over the years, and I've just kind of like learned from what they have that I don't have, and it's just weird. I don't want to be the constraint for us going and doing a hunt. Like if my buddy says, well, we can't drive a truck in there, well, then I want to have something that I can justify going out and doing that hunt to the best of my ability,
right.
because I have gear to be able to make it happen.
Yep.
It's just like, and if I field hunted more, then maybe I would try and find more fields that I had that access to. But it's like, you guys know how it goes. Well, you guys don't because you got so many fields. But like, it's in our area, people have fields locked down from like generations of people hunting, and
Well,
it's
still not easy over here though.
It's weird though because I only got into bird hunting maybe 2018, 2017.
okay.
So it hasn't been that long.
Yeah.
And to this day, I don't know why. And it goes back to like even the page, like why me? Like why am I able to do this?
Right. Yeah.
But it goes back to like the person or like the kind of person you are, and I feel like that's gone a long way.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So I don't want it to make it seem like we have all that property from the family or it.
No, I wasn't trying to say it, but it's just like
it's not like that.
Yeah.
Just for like the listeners out there, like I don't
Yeah.
want it to make it seem like it's like from family. It's like all the scouting and talking to property owners or farmers that not just during hunting season, like year round. Like
you got to put the work in still for sure. Yeah.
And I think a lot of people forget that too.
Right.
Because like you said, there is a lot of generation, like Justin and Ryan and all those guys.
Yeah, Dirty 30 boys.
They got their family that farms,
Right.
which is a whole different side from where we hunt. Not far, but it's generation. Not that they don't put work in because
they put the work.
They
in.
put a ton of work in.
Yeah.
It right time, right place, obviously for like the properties and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to make that I guess clear, like that.
Yeah.
It's all different.
Yeah. It's way different. It's like if I wasn't as into like hunting birds on water, then I'd put more time into finding fields.
Yeah.
But there's just something about like geese on water. I just can't.
They give it up.
God, I know.
There's nothing better than that for me.
When they Oh, the helicopter down just
I just can't.
smack water.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right.
The side of the table's getting a little feisty.
But that side of the table stood up.
Yeah, I was
going
gonna
to
say I don't know why it's raising.
Yeah,
Bitch it down over here,
man.
But yeah, going back to like the having the equipment and like doing the different hunts. Like anybody that's listening needs to understand that like just because Kyle doesn't like silhouettes doesn't mean that you shouldn't use them if that's what works in your area.
So Gaviani right here, they have some stories in Wisconsin before I moved there. They like have killed quite a bit of geese over just silhouettes.
That's what I mean. Like
I didn't believe it when they
different.
told me that, and they showed me pictures, and I was like, "No freaking way!" Because that is something I would never ever try or think about.
A lot of that though is the area and the pressure though, because I feel like a lot
for sure. Yeah.
That's
for
true.
us, like in Michigan, northern part of Michigan, where the molts are stopping at the first cultural fields, like they're hitting silhouettes.
Yeah.
All the way down through Michigan, they're hitting silhouettes in every single field. So for us, like we have the opportunity to run full bodies. I'm gonna
give them something different than they haven't seen.
That's my biggest
I think the
thing.
full bodies is like giving them the most realistic look that you can give.
Oh,
them.
for
if
sure.
You're running just 5 to 8 dozen full bodies or whatever may have you.
But you got to be
the
smart.
Most realistic look.
You got to be smart at the same time though too, because you don't want to run the full trailer. You don't want to run just silhouettes. You like mix match them or whatever you got to do. But I'll run 2 to 3 dozen if I'm hunting the next, or the next day if I'm hunting that same field, I'll run 10, 12 dozen on them.
Yeah, you change the amount of birds that they're seeing in the field.
You can't be running the same thing over and over again. Yeah. Even though they're seeing silhouettes all the way down, maybe run a smaller number, or I don't know. I'm so anal about that kind of stuff. I hate myself sometimes for that.
So then a question for you, since you hunt more fields, like in the late season, do you feel like running more decoys is helpful in the late season, or do you run smaller spreads? Because I've always heard like the pressure that they've seen all season, then the late season you want to run smaller spreads.
So for me, I'll sit there at a field for an hour
and just see
and just watch these birds. Like if they're
match the hatch,
literally hopping over top of each other, feeding and eating hard, and there's 600-700 birds out there, which we've had, I'll match that. But say there's 300-400 birds and they're like well spread out. I might only run 2 to 3 dozen.
Okay. So that's similar to like what I try to do I like hunting a lot of water late season. It's my thing. But I've tried to do the same kind of thing. Like if I see birds sitting on an area and it's only like 25 birds, then I'll run 6 floaters. Or if I see 150 out there, then I might run 3 or 4 dozen floaters.
It's different with the water too, because like around us, if we hear a gunshot, besides like from Justin and those guys, then we're like, who the heck is that? So like we can really manage those birds really well.
Yeah.
To where, they're not seeing a ton of pressure besides like those random people hunting off their deck or the back porch or whatever it is. But, like that's why I think I look into it so much, because we're the only ones hunting them, so I want to be able to give them something different every single time.
Yeah, instead of throwing 10 dozen every time you go out.
Yeah, it's one of those things where a lot of people are like, why don't you just leave decoys out in the permanent blinds? It's like, I might not need that many, or I might need more that day. I mean, depends on...
It's all situational depending.
We just talked about before the podcast where one day they're not there at all, and then the next day they're there.
Yeah.
Which I think the highways, if anybody's listening and you're looking for fields, scout highways.
Yeah.
And water. Make sure there's water next to the highway, but if there's water and there's a highway, they'll follow those highways straight down at night.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer on that.
Oh, you're not the first person I've heard that from.
Well, I'm not saying I'm the smartest person you heard that from either, but I'm just saying.
No, I mean, it's just there's something to it. Like, they're going to find a path that, I don't want to say like path of least resistance, but it's like if they're following something.
Oh, yeah. It is least resistance, though, I feel like, too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
whatever's easiest for them, because like if you ever watch dogs run around in the woods, they take the easiest path.
Just like
same with deer.
Yeah,
deer do the same
thing. Right. Yep.
Yeah.
And I also think that I'm also a big believer, like where we hunt at, there's not a lot of birds in September. So the fields that you scout and there's not a lot of birds at, don't be scared to go back there.
Oh yeah.
Middle of the season and double check that, because you never know what's going to be coming down the pipeline later on.
Yeah.
I don't know, but Fonz, you got any other questions, man?
We pretty much covered it all.
I feel like for a while, sure.
I feel like there's a lot more questions that we could ask, and hopefully that you come back another day and hang out with us. And maybe Gavin will take you out to dinner, and you guys do whatever. And whatever. Me and Fozzie will hang out here and shoot some pool upstairs. But is there anybody you want to shout out, or shout out your social media? Or
I can. I mean, so the big one, I guess, would be Too Many Hobbies on YouTube. Just trying to grow that as much as I can. And Brian Althorpe Media, Instagram. It's really the two that I use the most. So if you'll find everything else from there.
Any sponsors or anything you want to shout out?
I didn't bring the list of sponsors that I have with me, or I go through all of them.
Hey, I just had to throw it out there.
No, I mean, obviously Tangle Free and RNT are the big ones. They've done a lot for me, and it's been kind of the main bulk of my journey so far, and hopefully I just keep plugging away with them. I really enjoy working for them and with them. It's been a pretty awesome experience so far. So.
Yeah,
great partnership.
Yeah,
fantastic partnership.
Very lucky for it, for sure, man.
Yeah, I'm very. It's still very surreal, but it's here.
Sure. Well, hopefully we can get out of here and watch some of these fireworks, because they're loud as all get out outside. But Brian, I just wanted to say it was I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming in and just
thanks for having me.
Meeting you not too long ago, honestly, on social media. It's kind of all weird how everything kind of matches up, and everybody knows everybody in the outdoor industry.
It's pretty wild. Small world.
Very, very small world.
Yeah.
But thank God for it, though. I'll tell you that.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
There's some good people in it, man.
Yeah. But, Alex, as always, I appreciate you coming, even though you might be in the doghouse. Gavin, we might get you on a podcast tomorrow, maybe, as long as you guys can get out of the house. So we'll get by. But, Brian, again, I appreciate it. I appreciate you spending the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So until next time, everybody, we'll see ya.